The universe screamed. Vegeta had felt dimensional barriers before, the hyperbolic time chamber's fabric, the pull between the living world and other world, even the strange compression of Wise's staff travel. But this was different. This was violent. The boom tube's energy tore through space like a predator's jaws, swallowing him whole during what should have been a simple training session in the dead asteroid belt beyond Earth's solar system. One moment, he was charging a final flash, Kai blazing gold around his Super Saiyan form. The next, reality inverted, twisted, and spat him into somewhere fundamentally wrong. He crashed through the barrier between dimensions with enough force to ionize the atmosphere around him, a meteor wrapped in golden fire. His Kai sense, usually precise enough to detect a field mouse from orbit, recoiled in confusion. The energy signatures of this place were wrong, not absent, not weak, but structured according to laws his Saiyan instincts didn't recognize. Where was Kakarot's idiotic power level? Where was Earth? Where were the familiar constellations he'd memorized during countless hours of solitary training? Vegeta stabilized his flight, golden aura flickering as he assessed the damage. His body was intact. Saiyans were harder to kill than that. But something felt off. The energy flowing through him, the Kai that had been his weapon and shield since childhood, felt sluggish. Not weaker, precisely, but as if he were pushing it through a medium that resisted differently than empty space should. Like fighting underwater instead of air. Below him, a planet, blue and green, remarkably similar to Earth. But his Kai sense painted a picture that made his warrior's pride flare with anticipation and wariness in equal measure. Power signatures, dozens of them, some burned with intensity that reminded him of gods, not the joke gods like King Kai, but actual divine power approaching Beerus's terrible weight. Others moved at speeds that shouldn't be possible even for someone with instant transmission. And beneath it all, a bass note of darkness that made even his battle-hardened instincts whisper caution. What kind of backwater dimension? He started, then stopped. A red and blue blur was approaching, fast. Not instant transmission, not even close to his own top speed in Super Saiyan Blue, but fast enough to cross the space between planet's surface and high orbit in seconds. Vegeta's eyes narrowed as the figure resolved into clarity. Humanoid male, wearing a ridiculous blue costume with a red cape and a symbol on his chest that looked like Vegeta's people's language but wasn't. Black hair, square jaw. And power, substantial power radiating from him like a sun. The figure stopped precisely 50 meters away, floating as easily as Vegeta himself. No visible energy aura, no strain, just casual defiance of gravity that spoke to either racial ability or technological assistance. His expression was cautious but not hostile, the look of someone prepared for violence but hopping to avoid it. "I don't know how you got here," the being said, voice carrying easily through the vacuum, "but you need to come with me." That entry created shockwaves across multiple dimensions. The watchtower detected. "Watchtower," Vegeta interrupted, letting his Super Saiyan aura flare brighter, golden lightning crackling around his frame. "I don't know what pathetic organization you represent, but let me make something clear. I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, and I bow to no one. If you want answers, you'll give them to me. If you want compliance, you'll have to beat it out of me." The being's eyes flickered, literally flickered, glowing briefly with red light before returning to normal. "I'm Superman, and I really hope we can avoid fighting. You were pulled here by what looks like a boom tube accident. You're disoriented. Let us help you." Superman. The name meant nothing to Vegeta, but the power signature told him everything he needed to know. This being was strong, very strong. Perhaps not God level, not Beerus or Wise, but easily comparable to. Vegeta's pride rejected the comparison before completing it. No, he wouldn't think it, wouldn't acknowledge what his instincts were screaming. "Help," Vegeta's lip curled in disdain. "I need no one's help. I need answers. Where am I? What is this dimension? And why does someone with your power waste it playing dress-up and making diplomatic speeches?" Something shifted in Superman's expression, a flash of steel beneath the gentle approach. "This is Earth. We protect it. And right now, you're an unknown variable carrying enough power to threaten millions of people. So yes, you're coming with me. We can do this the easy way." Vegeta moved. His fist, still wreathed in Super Saiyan power, covered 50 meters in a fraction of a heartbeat. It was a testing blow, barely a quarter of his true strength, designed to gauge this Superman's durability and reaction time. He expected the being to dodge or block. He expected defensive maneuvers, perhaps a counterattack. What he didn't expect was for Superman to simply tank the hit, head snapping back from the impact but body barely moving. And what he really didn't expect was the immediate counter. A straight punch delivered with textbook form and absolutely devastating power that caught Vegeta in the solar plexus and sent him tumbling through space, ribs screaming protest. Vegeta arrested his momentum after 300 meters, golden aura blazing brighter as rage and excitement warred in his chest. Blood trickled from his lip. He'd taken damage from a single punch, from an opening exchange. "You're strong," he admitted, a grin spreading across his face like a predator scenting worthy prey. "Finally, something interesting about this pathetic dimension. Let's see exactly how strong." He launched forward again, this time seriously. His speed increased by an order of magnitude, fists and feet blurring as he unleashed a combination that had shattered planets in his timeline. Superman met him blow for blow, cape streaming behind him, that ridiculous symbol on his chest seeming to shine in the starlight. They exchanged perhaps 50 strikes in 3 seconds, the shockwaves creating visible distortions in space, each impact generating more force than most civilizations' entire nuclear arsenals. Vegeta broke the exchange with a Kai blast to create distance, breathing hard. Not from exhaustion, he could fight at this level for hours, but from the sheer exhilaration of finding a challenge. Superman's costume was unmarked. His breathing was barely elevated. And his expression had shifted to something Vegeta recognized from seeing it in mirrors during his darker days. The look of a warrior deciding how much force was necessary. "You can stop this," Superman said, but his stance had widened, lowered, combat ready. "I don't want to hurt you." "Hurt me?" Vegeta's laughter was sharp and genuine. "You haven't even made me try yet. But if you insist on playing hero, then let me show you what a true warrior looks like." He gathered Kai into his right palm, energy condensing into a sphere of destructive force. Not his final flash. He wasn't trying to destroy this planet until he understood where he was, but enough to demonstrate the gap between their world's power scales. The Gallic gun roared to life, purple-pink energy screaming towards Superman with enough force to atomize a mountain range. Superman's eyes flashed red again, and twin beams of crimson energy lanced out to meet Vegeta's attack. The collision point blazed between them like a miniature star, competing energies struggling for dominance. Vegeta felt his attack being pushed back, not overwhelmed but matched. This being was using some kind of energy projection from his eyes, and it was comparable to a Saiyan prince's Kai. "Impossible," Vegeta growled, pouring more power into the blast. The golden aura around him intensified, Super Saiyan hair standing even more rigidly. "What are you?" Someone trying to protect his home. Superman pushed harder, heat vision intensifying. "Stand down." The energy struggle reached critical mass, then detonated. The explosion would have been visible from the planet's surface, a brief new sun blooming in orbit. Both warriors were thrown back, and Vegeta used the moment to reassess. His ribs still ached. His Kai was flowing strangely, fighting against this dimension's physical laws, and this Superman had matched his attack without apparent strain. Before he could press the assault again, space rippled. More figures appeared, some through flashes of light, others simply materializing as if reality bent to their will. Vegeta counted 7 more power signatures surrounding him in a tactical formation. Not as strong as Superman individually, but several were close. One was moving so fast that even his enhanced Saiyan reflexes struggled to track it. a red blur that resolved into a man in a red costume with yellow lightning crackling around him. Another was a woman whose power felt wrong, divine in a way that reminded him uncomfortably of the Kai's, wreathed in warrior's confidence. Superman status. The voice came from someone Vegeta couldn't immediately locate. Then he spotted it. A dark figure hovering on what looked like a technological platform, no visible power signature at all. Just a human in a cape and cowl, somehow commanding the attention of gods. Unknown alien combatant, Superman replied, never taking his eyes off Vegeta. Extreme power level. Boom tube entry. He attacked first, but I don't think he's hostile, just confused and aggressive. I'm asterisk right here, Vegeta snarled. And I'm not confused. You're the ones confused if you think surrounding me with this circus will make me submit. The woman with divine power drifted closer, and Vegeta's instincts screamed asterisk warrior. She wore armor that marked her as nobility, carried herself with the confidence of someone who'd never lost a true battle, and had eyes that assessed him the way he assessed opponents. You fight well, stranger. But you are alone and far from home, I think. My name is Wonder Woman. We do not wish to harm you, but we will protect our world if necessary. 7 against 1. In his youth, in his days serving Frieza, Vegeta would have attacked anyway out of pure pride, but he'd grown since then, marginally, and his Kai sense was painting a concerning picture. These weren't random warriors. They worked together. They trusted each other, and Superman alone was close enough to his level that adding 6 more variables made the math unacceptable. Fine, he spat, letting his Super Saiyan aura die down to normal state, black hair returning, power condensing back into his base form. I'll talk, but make no mistake, I'm agreeing because I choose to, not because your little squadron intimidates me. I need to understand where I am and how to return to my dimension. After that, you'll never see me again. The dark figure in the cowl spoke, voice somehow carrying authority despite having no power signature. The Watchtower. Now, we have questions, and apparently so do you. Vegeta's eyes narrowed at the presumption in that voice, but he nodded once. Lead the way. But the moment I sense deception, the moment any of you try to imprison or control me, I'll show you what happens when a Saiyan prince stops holding back. Superman's expression shifted, something between relief and wariness. Understood, follow me. As they descended toward the planet, Vegeta studied his escorts. The speedster kept stealing glances at him with undisguised curiosity. The woman, Wonder Woman, maintained respectful warrior's distance. The dark figure coordinated the others with tactical precision. And Superman led, cape streaming behind him, every movement radiating the kind of power that only came from long mastery. This universe was wrong. The energy was wrong, but the warriors were right, strong, confident, organized. Vegeta grinned despite himself. If he were trapped here, at least it wouldn't be boring. And if this Superman wanted to play hero, then Vegeta would show him what a true warrior looked like. No holding back, no mercy, no weakness. The Prince of all Saiyans had arrived, and this universe would learn to respect that or burn trying. Below them, a massive space station came into view, the Watchtower, presumably. Vegeta's warrior instincts cataloged defensive positions, technological capabilities, and strategic weaknesses. Not because he planned to attack, but because a Saiyan prince was always prepared, always ready, always superior. The Watchtower was impressive, Vegeta admitted to himself with great reluctance. Not as advanced as Capsule Corp's more exotic technology, and certainly primitive compared to Wise's staff or the vessels he'd seen in Universe 6, but for a species that appeared to be mostly powerless humans, the orbital station demonstrated respectable engineering. Weapon systems tracked his every movement. Energy shields hummed at frequencies his Saiyan hearing detected easily. Redundant life support. Tactical positioning with clear sight lines to Earth below. Someone here understood warfare. They'd escorted him to what was clearly a conference room, a large table, chairs built for beings of various sizes, and walls lined with screens displaying data he couldn't read. Superman stood near the head of the table, arms crossed but posture open. Wonder Woman had taken a position that allowed her to watch both the door and Vegeta simultaneously, warrior's instinct in every line of her body. The speedster vibrated slightly in place, literally unable to stand still. And that dark figure, the one in the cowl with no power signature, studied Vegeta with eyes that reminded him uncomfortably of Bulma's expression when she was dissecting a problem. "So," the speedster said, grinning with the kind of optimism that made Vegeta's teeth ache, "you're from another dimension. That's so cool. I'm the Flash, by the way. Do you have speedsters where you're from?" "Because I'm the fastest man alive here, and I'm just curious if Barry." The cowled figure's single word cut through the rambling like a blade. The speedster Flash grimaced but fell silent. Vegeta let his gaze travel across each of them, memorizing power signatures, body language, and relationships. Superman was clearly the powerhouse, possibly the leader. Wonder Woman commanded respect through combat prowess. The Dark One, he operated through intellect and intimidation. The speedster provided reconnaissance and morale. There were others visible through the windows or on the screens. A man who appeared to be half machine, a green-skinned being whose power signature felt vast and alien, someone in a green costume with a glowing ring. An army, a well-organized, experienced army of beings who could level civilizations. "My name," the cowled figure said, stepping forward into better light, "is Batman. You've met Superman and Wonder Woman, the Flash. The others can introduce themselves later if necessary. Right now, we need to understand what happened and what you want." "Batman," Vegeta repeated, allowing contempt to color his voice. "What kind of warrior hides behind a mask in theatrics? If you're going to question me, at least dare to." "I wear this mask," Batman interrupted, voice flat and cold, "because I've learned that fear is a weapon. And before you dismiss me for lacking powers, understand that I've fought gods, aliens, and monsters stronger than you look. I'm still here, they aren't." The absolute conviction in that voice made Vegeta pause. This human, because his scent and biology read as baseline human, impossibly, believed every word. And the way Superman and Wonder Woman didn't contradict him suggested he'd earned that confidence through action. Interesting. "Fine," Vegeta said, leaning against the wall rather than sitting. "I'll answer your questions if you answer mine. I am Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans. I was training in deep space when something, a boom tube you called it, pulled me into your dimension. I don't know how it happened, I don't know why, and I need to know how to return home." "Boom tubes," Wonder Woman said, her voice carrying the weight of experience, "are new god technology. Apocalypse uses them for invasion and transport. If one malfunctioned during dimensional travel, it could have caught you in its wake." "Apocalypse," Vegeta filed the name away. "What is that?" Batman's expression shifted fractionally, surprise quickly masked. "You really don't know. You're not from a parallel Earth. You're from a completely different reality structure." Obviously, Vegeta's patience was fraying. "Now answer the relevant question, how do I get home?" The heroes exchanged glances, that wordless communication of warriors who'd fought together long enough to read each other perfectly. Finally, Superman spoke. "We don't know. Boom tube technology isn't something we fully understand, and dimensional travel is complicated. We have allies who might help. Zatanna, Dr. Fate, and John Constantine, but it could take time. The word settled in Vegeta's stomach like lead. Bulma would be worried, Trunks would wonder where his father had gone, and Kakarot, that idiot, would probably sense his disappearance and start searching, potentially doing something catastrophically stupid in the process. How much time? Vegeta demanded. "Days," Batman said. "Maybe weeks. Dimensional barriers aren't easy to breach intentionally. The energy requirements alone. They are irrelevant." Vegeta pushed off the wall, power signature flaring slightly as frustration mounted. "I can provide whatever energy is necessary. I've destroyed planets. I've fought gods. If your magic users need power, I have power." "Whoa, hold up." The Flash had stopped vibrating, staring at Vegeta with something between awe and horror. "You've destroyed planets, like actually destroyed them. That's villain stuff, man." The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Wonder Woman's hand drifted toward the sword at her hip. Superman's eyes flickered red. And Batman's expression went absolutely neutral, the kind of neutral that preceded violence. Vegeta realized his mistake immediately. Different universe, different contexts, different rules. In my past, he said carefully, forcing his pride to bend enough for explanation, I served a tyrant named Frieza. I was his soldier, his weapon. I destroyed planets on his command because I was too weak to refuse and too proud to accept my weakness. That was before I met my wife, before I had children, before I understood that strength without purpose is just destruction. He met Superman's eyes directly, refusing to look away. I'm not that Saiyan anymore. I fight to protect my world now, my family. And if I'm trapped in your dimension, the people I protect are vulnerable. So help me return home or get out of my way while I find my own solution. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Superman's posture relaxed fractionally. Redemption. I understand that path. It's not easy. I don't need your understanding, Vegeta snapped. I need your cooperation. Batman stepped closer, and Vegeta was surprised to find himself respecting the human's complete lack of fear. If you're telling the truth about wanting to protect rather than conquer, then we'll help. But until we're certain, you'll be monitored, constantly. I've prepared contingencies for beings with your power level. Contingencies. Vegeta's laugh was sharp. You mean plans to kill me if I step out of line? Yes, Batman said simply. The honesty was refreshing at least. Vegeta could respect that. Then we understand each other. Now tell me about this dimension. These new gods and their boom tubes. If I'm trapped here, I need to understand the threats. Wonder Woman moved to the table, touching a control panel. Holographic displays materialized. Star maps, planetary systems, images of beings and technologies. This is Earth, our home. It's protected by the Justice League, us plus others. The universe beyond contains thousands of alien civilizations, most peaceful, some hostile. The Green Lantern Corps polices space. The new gods rule Apocalypse and New Genesis, locked in eternal war. Darkseid, Lord of Apocalypse, constantly seeks to conquer all reality through something called the anti-life equation. The images shifted to show a massive gray-skinned figure with eyes that glowed red, wearing armor that seemed to absorb light. Even through the hologram, Vegeta sensed the weight of that presence. Not power exactly, but will. Absolute, crushing will that bent reality to its desires. Darkseid, Superman said, and his voice carried a weight Vegeta recognized, the tone of someone describing a worthy enemy. He's conquered thousands of worlds. His Omega beams can disintegrate almost anything. He's fought the entire Justice League multiple times. If your arrival was connected to boom tube technology, he may already know you're here. Let him know, Vegeta said dismissively. If this Darkseid wants a fight, I'll give him one. I've killed gods before. Gods? The Flash laughed nervously. You keep saying that like it's casual. Because it is. Vegeta crossed his arms. My universe has gods, I've fought them. Some I've defeated, others I train with. The god of destruction of our universe could obliterate your entire planet with a thought, and I've sparred with his attendant. He paused, then added with visible reluctance, usually I lose, but I'm getting stronger. Batman's fingers moved across a keyboard, recording notes. God of Destruction. That's a title, not hyperbole. Literal, his job is to destroy planets to maintain universal balance. He's destroyed half our galaxy for serving bad food. Vegeta watched their reactions, disbelief mixing with dawning horror. My point is that I'm not impressed by your Darkseid. I'm not impressed by your Justice League. What impresses me is strength, and Superman showed adequate strength. The rest of you, he shrugged. We'll see. Wonder Woman's eyes flashed, and she stepped forward with predatory grace. You think yourself superior, warrior. Then perhaps you'd care to test that assumption properly. The Amazons of the Themyscira have trained for 3,000 years. I have fought gods, monsters, and armies. Your arrogance suggests you need a lesson in humility. Finally, Vegeta's grin was genuine now. Now you're speaking my language. When and where? Diana, Superman said warningly. We should focus on. He needs to understand this world's capabilities, Wonder Woman interrupted, not taking her eyes off Vegeta. And I need to understand his. Tomorrow, the Messiah will see if your warrior's pride is justified or merely bluster. I'll be there, Vegeta promised. Try not to disappoint me. A new voice cut through the tension, female, coming from one of the communications panels. Guys, we've got a situation. Reports are coming in from Metropolis. Some kind of alien ship just appeared downtown. It's broadcasting a message in multiple languages. Superman moved to the panel immediately. What message? It's asking for the Saiyan. By name. It says if Vegeta doesn't present himself within the hour, they'll start destroying city blocks. The room went still. Vegeta felt every eye turn toward him, and his Kai sense registered the instant shift. Allies became potential enemies. Caution became active threat assessment. Batman's hand moved to his belt. Wonder Woman's grip tightened on her sword hilt. The Flash positioned himself between Vegeta and the door. I don't know who they are, Vegeta said flatly. I've never been to your dimension before. I've never heard of your Earth or your Metropolis. But they know you, Batman said, voice absolutely level. Explain that. Vegeta's mind raced through possibilities. Enemies from his timeline couldn't follow him. Dimensional travel wasn't that simple. Unless the boom tube. If it pulled me here, the same technology could be tracking my signature. Someone who knows what Saiyans are could be using my arrival as an opportunity. Opportunity for what? Superman demanded. Recruitment, revenge, entertainment. Vegeta pushed past them toward the window, looking down at Earth. Somewhere on that planet, innocent people were being threatened because of his presence. The old Vegeta, Frieza's soldier, would have considered them acceptable casualties, but he'd changed. Bulma had changed him, Trunks had changed him. Even Kakarot's idiotic heroism had changed him. Take me there, he said. If someone's hunting Saiyans, they're my problem. I'll handle it. Alone, the Flash sounded incredulous. Dude, they specifically called you out. It's obviously a trap. Obviously, Vegeta agreed. But I'm a Saiyan prince. Traps are just opportunities to prove superiority. He turned back to face them. Unless your Justice League is too afraid to. We're going, Superman interrupted. All of us, if this is connected to Apocalypse or some other threat, we need to respond as a team. I don't need a team. Too bad. Batman was already moving toward the door. You're in our universe now, our planet, our rules. And rule 1 is that we protect civilians first, settle territorial disputes later. He paused, looking back at Vegeta. Unless you have a problem with protecting innocent people, the challenge was obvious. Vegeta wanted to argue, to insist he could handle this alone, to prove he needed no one's help. But he'd learned slowly, painfully, that sometimes pride had to bend to pragmatism. And these warriors, for all their differences, seemed to genuinely care about protecting the weak. Fine, he said. We'll do this your way. But when the fighting starts, stay out of my path. I don't do teamwork well. Neither do I, Batman said. We'll get along great. The irony was lost on no one. Minutes later, Vegeta found himself standing in what they called a teleportation bay, surrounded by the full Justice League. Superman floated at the center, cape hanging perfectly. Wonder Woman checked her weapons with practiced efficiency. The Flash vibrated with barely contained energy. Batman reviewed tactical data on a wrist computer. The half-machine man, Cyborg they'd called him, was interfacing directly with the Watchtower's systems. The green-skinned being, Martian Manhunter, phased partially invisible, testing his powers. And the one with the glowing ring, Green Lantern, created complex light constructs that demonstrated ridiculous versatility. Transport in 10 seconds, Cyborg announced. Coordinates locked on Metropolis downtown. Civilian evacuation is already underway, but the ship is holding position directly over Centennial Park. Whatever they want, they're willing to wait. They want me, Vegeta said. They'll get me. Then they'll wish they'd never heard the name Saiyan. Superman placed a hand on Vegeta's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity that the Saiyan prince would normally have shrugged off violently. But something in the Kryptonian's expression stopped him. Not pity, not condescension, just understanding between warriors. We've got your back, Superman said simply. Vegeta didn't respond, but he didn't pull away either. The teleportation effect was disorienting but efficient. One moment the watchtower, the next, standing on a city street with a massive ship hovering overhead, easily the size of a city block. Its design was brutal, all sharp angles and weapon ports, and the energy signature radiating from it made Vegeta's warrior instincts sing with anticipation. Strong, very strong. Not God level, but close to his Super Saiyan blue ceiling. "This is gonna be fun," he muttered, letting his aura flare gold as his hair spiked upward, eyes shifting to green. Super Saiyan. No need to jump straight to blue until he'd assessed the threat properly. A hatch opened on the ship's underside. A figure descended, humanoid, powerfully built, wearing armor that incorporated the same angular aesthetics as the vessel. And when the being landed, Vegeta felt his blood run cold. It was impossible, but the tail, the armor style, the arrogant stance. "No," he whispered. The being grinned, and Vegeta saw his own Saiyan features reflected at him. Sharp teeth, predatory eyes, warrior's pride. "Hello, Prince Vegeta," the stranger said in a language Vegeta understood perfectly, Saiyan dialect, unspoken since planet Vegeta's destruction. "My name is Turles, and I'm here to bring you home." Vegeta's mind fractured into competing impossibilities. Turles, a Saiyan name he'd heard in childhood, before Frieza's genocide, before planet Vegeta became cosmic dust. A low-class warrior, unremarkable except for his resemblance to Kakarot's bloodline, the kind of resemblance that happens in warrior races with limited genetic diversity. Vegeta had assumed him dead with all the others. Assumed every Saiyan except himself. Kakarot, Nappa, and Raditz had been incinerated when Frieza destroyed their homeworld. But here stood proof otherwise, speaking the language of their dead race, wearing armor that predated the Empire's standard issue. And worse, his power signature burned with intensity that suggested decades of combat evolution, Zenkai boosts accumulated through countless near-death experiences, and training that had pushed him far beyond the low-class warrior he'd once been. "Impossible," Vegeta said, keeping his Super Saiyan aura controlled. "Turles died with planet Vegeta." "Did I?" Turles grinned wider, tail unwrapping from his waist to lash behind him, a Saiyan tell of aggressive confidence. "Or did I escape like you, Prince? Not everyone died when Frieza betrayed our race. Some of us were smart enough to see the tyrant's treachery coming, smart enough to steal ships and flee into deep space before the genocide." Superman stepped forward, positioning himself between Vegeta and Turles. "If you're here for peaceful contact, you have a strange way of showing it. Threatening civilians isn't how we negotiate." Turles' eyes flicked to Superman with something between curiosity and disdain. "Ah, the local strong man. I've been monitoring transmissions since arriving in this dimension. You're called Superman, yes. Impressive power for a non-Saiyan, almost makes you worth my time." His gaze returned to Vegeta. "But I'm not here for negotiation, Kryptonian. I'm here to recruit the Prince of all Saiyans for a mission worthy of his bloodline." "I serve no one," Vegeta snarled. "Especially not a low-class warrior who thinks survival makes him my equal." The insult landed precisely as intended. Turles' expression darkened, aura flaring around him, golden, exactly like Vegeta's own Super Saiyan transformation. "Low class. I survived Frieza. I conquered 50 star systems. I've grown stronger than you could imagine, Prince Asterisk. And I've found something that will restore our race to glory, the Tree of Might." Batman's voice crackled through the Justice League's communication system, audible in Vegeta's ear through some kind of localized transmission. "Analysis shows the ship is heavily armed. Weapon systems are charging. Whatever he wants, he's prepared to fight for it." Wonder Woman had drawn her sword, stance shifting to combat ready. The flash vibrated at frequencies that left afterimages. Green Lantern's ring glowed bright, constructing what looked like artillery batteries. Martian Manhunter phased fully visible, eyes burning red with barely restrained power. Cyborg's arm cannons activated with mechanical precision, the Justice League arrayed for war. Turles laughed, sharp and cruel. Your pets are brave, Vegeta, but they don't understand what they're facing. Let me demonstrate the difference between Saiyan warriors and these soft civilization builders. He moved. Not as fast as Vegeta could in Super Saiyan Blue, but fast enough that only Superman and the Flash reacted in time. Turles appeared in front of Wonder Woman, fist pulled back for a strike that would have pulverized concrete. Diana's sword came up in a perfect defensive arc and shattered. The Amazon princess barely managed to cross her bracers before the blow landed, and even with her divine durability, the impact sent her crashing through 3 buildings. Diana! Superman's heat vision lanced out, twin beams of superheated energy that could melt steel. Turles simply raised a hand, Kai's shield forming instinctively, deflecting the beams skyward where they dissipated harmlessly. Weak, Turles said. Is this the best your universe offers? Green Lantern's constructs materialized, massive chains of emerald light that wrapped around Turles from 6 angles simultaneously. You want to see what we offer? How about a few thousand tons of willpower? The chains tightened. Turles' aura flared brighter, and Vegeta felt the power surge, not to Super Saiyan 2 levels, but approaching. The green constructs began to crack, fracture lines spiderwebbing across their surface. Hal, he's breaking through. Cyborg's sensors blazed with data, power output exceeding projected parameters by. Turles flexed, and the chains exploded into light fragments. His tail lashed out faster than Cyborg could track, wrapping around the half-machine hero's throat and hurling him into Green Lantern. Both heroes went down in a tangle of limbs and technology. The Flash vibrated into motion, creating a vortex of supersonic punches that would have shredded normal matter. Turles simply stood there, letting the blows land, his Saiyan durability absorbing impacts that could demolish concrete. After perhaps 300 strikes, he caught the Flash's wrist mid-punch. Speedster, right? Impressive velocity. Turles' grip tightened and Vegeta heard bone creak. But speed without power is just wind. He threw the Flash directly upward with enough force that the speedster disappeared, trajectory heading straight into low orbit. Superman caught him, appearing and disappearing in the span of a heartbeat, depositing the Flash safely and returning to hover between Turles and the recovering League members. Enough! I don't know what you want with Vegeta, but this ends now. Does it? Turles' smile was all Predator. Show me, Kryptonian. Show me if you're worthy of standing in a Saiyan's presence. They collided midair, and the shockwave shattered windows for 6 blocks. Superman's punches were technically perfect, decades of experience compressed into efficient, devastating strikes. Turles fought with pure Saiyan aggression, overwhelming offense, minimal defense, accepting damage to deal greater damage in return. They exchanged perhaps 20 blows before Superman's heat vision forced separation, and Turles retaliated with a Kai blast that painted the sky orange with destructive energy. Vegeta watched, arms crossed, Super Saiyan aura flickering around him. The League was strong, legitimately strong. Superman was matching Turles blow for blow, and Wonder Woman was already recovering, sword reformed from some divine principle, charging back into combat. But they weren't winning. Turles had the advantage of Saiyan biology, endless combat experience, and most importantly, the willingness to destroy everything around him to secure victory. The League was holding back, protecting civilians, minimizing collateral damage. Turles was holding nothing back. Vegeta, Batman's voice in his ear, calm despite the chaos. He's stronger than our initial projections. If you have a higher power level, now would be the time. I know, Vegeta muttered. Part of him wanted to let them struggle, to let Superman and his allies learn humility against a true Saiyan warrior. But another part, the part that Bulma and Trunks had cultivated, recognized that Turles represented everything he tried to leave behind. The casual cruelty, the pride without purpose, the willingness to destroy civilizations for personal gain. Prince Vegeta. Turles had broken from Superman, hovering now with a golden aura blazing, breathing hard but grinning. You see how weak these heroes are. They fight with restraint, with mercy, with asterisk weakness. Join me. With the Tree of Might, we can restore the Saiyan race. Plant it on a dozen worlds, harvest its fruit, become gods. We could rule galaxies together, the Tree of Might. Vegeta remembered intelligence reports from his time under Frieza. A parasitic organism that consumed entire planets' life energy to produce fruit that dramatically increased power. Immensely effective, absolutely devastating to civilizations. The kind of weapon a Saiyan would love and a hero would destroy. No, Vegeta said simply. Turles' expression flickered, surprise replacing certainty. What? I said no. Vegeta stepped forward, letting his power rise. Not to Super Saiyan 2 yet, just letting his base Super Saiyan form reach its absolute peak, golden aura intensifying until it looked almost white at the edges. I don't serve tyrants anymore. I don't destroy worlds for power anymore. And I definitely don't take orders from low-class warriors who think survival makes them royalty. You've gone soft, Turles spat. Frieza warned us this would happen. He said you'd been corrupted by playing hero, that you'd forgotten what it means to be Saiyan. The words hit like physical blows. Frieza, he's alive in your timeline. Alive and building a new empire. Turles' grin returned. He's the one who found the dimensional breach, who tracked your energy signature. He sends his regards, Prince Asterisk, and an offer. Return with me, help us conquer the multiverse, and he'll let you rule your own galaxy. Refuse, and I'll drag you back in chains after I've destroyed this pathetic planet you've gotten attached to. Superman landed beside Vegeta, cape torn, small burns marking his costume where Kai blasts had penetrated. Vegeta, you don't have to face him alone. Yes, Vegeta said coldly, I do. This is Saiyan business. Your interference will only complicate things. The hell with that. Wonder Woman joined them, armor dented but spirit clearly unbroken. We fight together, that's what the League does. You'll die together, Turles promised. All of you, unless the prince shows wisdom and accepts reality. Vegeta felt something shift in his chest. A familiar burning, the rage that had driven him to surpass Kakarot time and again, the pride that had defined him since childhood. But alongside it, something new. Or rather, something he'd learned to acknowledge, responsibility. These heroes were risking their lives to protect strangers. Superman had matched Turles despite having no Zenkai boost, no Saiyan battle evolution. Wonder Woman had charged back into combat with a broken sword and bruised ribs because duty demanded it. They were warriors in their own right, just a different kind. Fine, Vegeta said, but stay out of my direct path. Turles is mine. His power surged upward, past Super Saiyan, electrical discharge crackling through his aura as his hair grew slightly longer and his muscles compressed with denser energy. Super Saiyan 2. Not his peak, he still had Super Saiyan Blue in reserve, but enough to match Turles and then some. Turles' eyes widened fractionally. So you have achieved it, the legendary transformation beyond the legend. Impressive, Prince, but can you use it? Let me show you. Vegeta moved with speed that made Superman look slow, that left afterimages burning in his wake. His fist caught Turles in the jaw with enough force to crater concrete, following immediately with a knee strike to the solar plexus that folded the low-class warrior in half. Turles tried to counter, tail whipping toward Vegeta's throat, but the prince caught it mid-strike and used it as leverage to slam Turles into the street, creating a crater 20 meters wide. This, Vegeta said, standing over his opponent, electricity sparking through his golden aura, is the difference between royalty and refuse. Turles coughed blood, grinning through split lips. Good. Finally, a real fight. His aura exploded outward, power doubling in an instant. Not a transformation, but pure Zenkai adaptation. His Saiyan biology responding to damage with increased strength. He rocketed upward, hands cupped at his side, gathering a sphere of destructive purple-black energy that made Vegeta's instincts scream danger. Kill driver. The attack screamed downward, not toward Vegeta, toward the city, toward the millions of civilians that Superman and his League were protecting. Vegeta had a choice. Dodge and let the attack devastate Metropolis, or intercept and take damage that would leave him vulnerable. He chose instantly. His final flash erupted upward, golden yellow energy meeting Turles' purple-black destruction halfway. The collision point hung between them like a miniature sun, competing energies struggling for dominance while buildings shook and windows shattered from the pressure. Vegeta poured more power into the blast, muscles straining, teeth clenched with effort. Then Superman was beside him, heat vision adding red to the gold, pushing the energy struggle upward. Wonder Woman appeared on his other side, bracelets crossed, creating a barrier of divine energy that helped contain the explosion. The Flash ran circles around the collision point, somehow using speed to create a vortex that directed energy skyward. Green Lantern's constructs formed a dome overhead, catching fallout. Cyborg calculated trajectories and directed civilian evacuation. Martian Manhunter phased through buildings, pulling out stragglers. The Justice League, working in perfect coordination, turned certain devastation into a manageable crisis. The energy struggle reached critical mass, then exploded. Vegeta felt Superman catch him as the backlash threw him backward, felt Wonder Woman's hand steady him, felt the League's presence like anchors in chaos. When the light cleared, Turles was gone, teleported back to his ship likely, a tactical retreat in the face of overwhelming opposition. The vessel's engines burned bright, pulling up and away from Earth's atmosphere. "He's leaving," Superman said, surprise evident. "After all that, he's just leaving." "No," Batman's voice crackled through communications. "He's repositioning. Satellite tracking shows the ship moving to Mars orbit. He's not done." Vegeta shook off Superman's supporting hand, pride demanding he stand under his own power despite exhaustion. His Super Saiyan 2 form flickered, dropped back to base Super Saiyan, then finally to his normal state. The fight had taken more out of him than he'd expected, dimensional displacement still affecting his Kai efficiency, making every attack cost slightly more than it should. "He'll be back," Vegeta said. "Saiyans don't retreat, we regroup. He's planning something." "Then we prepare." Wonder Woman was studying him with new respect. "You could have dodged that attack, saved your energy. Why didn't you?" The question hung in the air. Vegeta wanted to say he'd acted on instinct, that tactical necessity had dictated his choice, that it meant nothing. But Bulma had taught him to recognize lies, especially his own. "Because," he said quietly, "letting millions die to preserve my pride would have made me no different than Frieza. Or Turles. I've been that person. I refuse to be him again." Superman smiled, genuine warmth breaking through the exhaustion and concern. "Welcome to the hero business. It's usually terrible." "I'm not a hero," Vegeta snapped, but the protest felt hollow even to him. Batman had materialized beside them somehow, capes settling around him like shadows given form. "Heroism is defined by choices, not declarations. You made the right choice. Now we need to make more. That ship has weapons that could glass continents. Whatever this tree of might is, if he plants it on Earth, it will consume the entire planet within days," Vegeta interrupted. "Every living thing is dead. All energy absorbed into fruit grants immense power. Frieza used it as a weapon on rebellious systems. Total genocide dressed as agriculture." "Charming," the Flash muttered, vibrating with nervous energy. "So how do we stop him?" "We kill him," Vegeta said flatly, "before he can act." The silence that followed was heavy with moral complexity. Superman's expression closed. Wonder Woman looked conflicted. Batman showed nothing, but Vegeta sensed the calculation behind those white lenses. "We don't kill," Superman finally said. "Then you lose." Vegeta's voice was cold, certain. "Turles won't stop. He'll wait for the perfect moment, plant the tree somewhere you can't reach in time, and watch this world die. That's what Saiyans do. That's what I would have done once." "There has to be another way," Superman insisted. "We can imprison him, remove his ability to." "No prison holds a Saiyan determined to escape. No restraint survives our Zenkai evolution. Every time you hurt us, we come back stronger." Vegeta stepped forward, meeting Superman's eyes directly. "I understand your moral code. I even respect it. But this isn't your universe's problem, it's mine. Turles came for me, threatened your world because of me. So let me handle it my way." "Which is murder," Batman said flatly. "Which is execution of a genocidal warrior." Vegeta didn't flinch from the word. "I've killed before, I carry that weight. Let me carry this too and keep your hands clean." Wonder Woman spoke, and her voice carried 3,000 years of warrior wisdom. "Sometimes, warrior to warrior, death is the only answer. But Superman is right that we don't make that choice lightly. And Batman is right that we have rules. So here's what we do. We give Turles one chance. One opportunity to surrender, stand trial, or accept imprisonment. If he refuses, if he attacks Earth again, if he demonstrates no path to peace." She looked at Vegeta directly. "Then we let you do what must be done." It was a compromise that satisfied no one and acknowledged everyone's truth. Vegeta could respect that. "Fine," he said. "But when he comes back, and he will, don't hesitate. Hesitation gets warriors killed." "Noted," Batman said. "Now let's get back to the Watchtower. We need to analyze his ship's technology, identify vulnerabilities, and prepare for his next move." And Vegeta, the Dark Knight's expression was unreadable behind the cowl. "You fought well, for someone who claims not to be a hero." Vegeta turned away to hide the complicated expression that threatened to break through his royal composure. "I fought to protect my interests, nothing more." "Of course," Batman said, and somehow the tone conveyed complete disbelief. The teleportation effect pulled them skyward, but Vegeta's thoughts remained on Earth, on Metropolis, on the millions who'd nearly died because a ghost from his past had come calling. He'd told Superman he wasn't a hero, told himself the same lie for years, even while protecting Earth from threats, training to defend his family, and fighting alongside Kakarot against universal extinction. But here, in this strange dimension, surrounded by warriors who chose mercy over efficiency, compassion over pride, he felt the lie getting harder to maintain. Maybe that was good. Maybe that was growth. Or maybe it was just weakness dressed as wisdom. Time would tell, and Turles would be the test. 3 days passed with the tension of a held breath. Vegeta spent them training in the Watchtower's combat simulation room, a space that could generate holographic opponents and environmental hazards calibrated to stress-test beings of Superman's power level. It was adequate. Barely. The simulations couldn't truly replicate the life-or-death stakes that triggered Zenkai boosts, couldn't push him past his limits the way Wise or even Kakarot could, but they kept him sharp while the League's magic users worked on dimensional transit solutions. He'd met Zatanna, a woman in a stage magician's costume who spoke spells backward and wielded power that made his Saiyan instincts uncomfortable. Magic. He still didn't fully understand it, couldn't sense it the way he sensed Kai, and that unknown variable gnawed at his warrior's pride. She'd examined him with mystical senses, mapping his energy signature, searching for the dimensional frequency that would let her punch through reality back to his timeline. "It's complicated," she'd said, which Vegeta was learning was code for "I don't know yet. Your home dimension operates on completely different fundamental forces. Kai, instead of the speed force, no emotional spectrum, no connection to the source. I can feel the path you took getting here, but retracing it safely without killing you or fracturing reality. That takes time." Time he didn't have. Time Turles could use to prepare. The time his family spent wondering if he was dead. Batman had provided quarters, Spartan, functional, constantly monitored through sensors that Vegeta could detect easily. He didn't object. If their positions were reversed, he'd do the same. Trust was earned through action, and he'd only proven himself useful, not loyal. The Dark Knight visited on the second day, materializing in the doorway like shadows given purpose. "You haven't eaten in 30 hours. Saiyans can function for days without food." Vegeta didn't look up from the star charts he was studying, maps of this universe's structure, trying to understand the cosmology that governed his prison. "Our biology adapted to survive in hostile environments. Surviving and thriving are different. The cafeteria is on level 3. Batman stepped inside and Vegeta noticed he was out of costume, just a man in expensive casual wear, though the way he moved still screamed warrior. I wanted to talk, Bruce Wayne, since we're off duty. Vegeta finally looked up, studying this human who commanded gods. Without the cowl, he looked younger than expected, maybe early 40s, with the kind of face that photographers would call handsome, and Vegeta recognized as useful for manipulation. But the eyes were older, much older, carrying weight that only came from witnessing too much darkness. Talk then. I assume this is the part where you threaten me if I step out of line. Already done that. Bruce moved to the star charts, examining them with practiced efficiency. This is the part where I try to understand you. You're powerful enough to destroy this planet. You've admitted to destroying others, but you also saved Metropolis when you could have let it burn. Those are contradictory actions for a purely self-interested warrior. Are they? Vegeta crossed his arms. I saved Metropolis because Turles' attack would have killed me too. Self-interest. You were in Super Saiyan 2. According to our power analysis, you could have survived the blast and escaped the atmosphere. Bruce's tone was conversational, but his eyes were analyzing every micro-expression. You chose to fight because letting millions die would have made you someone you don't want to be anymore. That's not self-interest. That's conscience. The word hit harder than Vegeta expected. You don't know me. I know warriors who have walked the path from darkness to light. I've walked it myself. Bruce sat on the edge of the table, posture relaxed but ready. I know what it looks like when someone's trying to redeem themselves while pretending they're not. The anger that covers guilt, the pride that covers shame, the insistence on isolation that covers fear of connection. I fear nothing, Vegeta said coldly, except becoming what you were, except for failing the people you love, except proving that redemption was temporary and the monster was always still there. Bruce's voice was quiet, certain. I see it because I live it. Every day I fight to be Batman instead of becoming the thing I hunt. Every day I choose the line I won't cross, knowing it would be easier, more efficient, more satisfying to just kill the Joker and be done. But that's the line that separates us from them. Vegeta wanted to argue, wanted to insist that his situation was different, that Saiyan biology and warrior culture made comparisons to human morality meaningless. But Bulma had said similar things. Trunks had asked him once why he didn't just kill all the bad people if he was strong enough. And Vegeta had struggled to explain that killing was easy. It was choosing not to kill that proved strength. Turles will come back, he said instead. When he does, your line won't save lives, mercy won't stop him, only death will. Maybe, probably, Bruce stood, moving toward the door. But we'll cross that line when we reach it, not before. And if we do cross it, we'll know we exhausted every other option first. That's what separates executing a threat from murder. Semantics. Details matter. They're the difference between justice and vengeance. Bruce paused at the threshold. Superman wants to trust you. Diana respects you. I'm still deciding. But I'll tell you what I told Clark when we first met. I'm watching. If you're genuine about protecting instead of conquering, you'll have allies. If you're not, he left the threat unfinished. You'll activate your contingencies, Vegeta completed. Kill me before I can cause damage. Something like that. Bruce's slight smile was humorless. Get some food, rest. Whatever's coming will need you at full power. After he left, Vegeta sat in silence for 10 minutes, wrestling with thoughts that had no business complicating a warrior's mind. He'd spent decades training to be the strongest, to surpass Kakarot, to reclaim Saiyan pride. The purpose had been simple: power for power's sake, victory for victory's sake, pride because he was born royal. But Bulma had introduced variables his training never accounted for: love, responsibility, legacy. Trunks had shown him that strength meant nothing if you didn't protect what mattered. Even Kakarot, that low-class clown, had demonstrated that the strongest warrior wasn't the one who could destroy the most, but the one who could save everyone. And now this universe, with its complicated heroes and their impossible moral codes, was forcing him to examine questions he'd thought settled. Was he truly changed? Or was redemption just a costume he wore while the Saiyan elite warrior still lurked underneath? He honestly didn't know. The alarm interrupted his brooding, harsh klaxons that spoke of immediate threat. Vegeta's Kai sense flared instinctively, detecting multiple power signatures materializing on Earth's surface. Not Turles, different, weaker individually but numbering in the hundreds. His communicator crackled, Superman's voice tense. "Vegeta, we need you in the teleporter bay. Now." The Watchtower's command center was chaos organized. Screens displayed a dozen different crisis points across Earth. Strange biomechanical creatures, some flying, some burrowing, all radiating energy signatures that felt wrong, corrupted, were appearing in major population centers. New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai. Hundreds of them growing by the minute, and each one strong enough to threaten baseline humans. "Parademons," Batman was saying, coordinating League response with military precision. "Apocalypse shock troops, Darkseid is making his move." "No," Superman shook his head, pointing to a different screen. "Look at their biology, wrong morphology, wrong tech integration. These aren't Darkseids." Cyborg systems blazed with processing power. "Genetic analysis coming through, DNA markers are." "Oh no, oh that's bad, they're plant-based. Synthetic organism, rapidly reproducing, designed for." His expression went blank with horror. "They're seeds. Living seeds that consume organic matter to fuel reproduction." Vegeta felt ice spread through his veins. "The tree of might, he's already planted it." "Where?" Wonder Woman had her sword drawn, ready to move. "If we can destroy the source." "Too late." Vegeta's voice was flat, certain. "These creatures are the tree's immune system. It's already rooted deep enough to start producing them. By the time you dig it out, the planet's ecosystem will be compromised." Batman's fingers flew across keyboards. Satellite recon, scanning for massive biological growth, unusual energy signatures, and disrupted geological activity. The screens flickered, narrowed, focused. There, Amazon rainforest, dead center, growth that wasn't there 6 hours ago. Current height, he paused, 3,000 meters and climbing. 3,000 meters in 6 hours. Vegeta remembered reports from Frieza's archives. The tree's growth rate was exponential. By this time tomorrow, it will be visible from space. In 3 days, the planet would be a lifeless husk wrapped in dark roots. "Can we burn it?" Flash asked. "Like really burn it, heat vision, napalm, scorched earth." "It feeds on energy," Vegeta said. "Fire makes it grow faster. The only way to kill it is to destroy the core before it fully matures, and that core will be buried deep, protected by these creatures and worse." Superman's jaw was set, the expression of a man accepting terrible necessity. "Then we hit it with everything. Full League assault. Evacuate the area, engage the seed creatures to buy time, and send a strike team to the core." "I'll go." Vegeta's declaration was absolute. "I know Tree of Might architecture. Frieza used them as weapons. I've seen dozens planted on rebellious worlds. I know where the core will be, how to reach it, what defenses Turles will have prepared." "You're not going alone." Wonder Woman stepped forward. "I'll accompany you. You need someone who can survive the same hostile environment, and I've fought alongside warriors who think teamwork is a suggestion." Her slight smile suggested she was talking about someone specific, probably Superman. "I'll come too." Batman activated something on his gauntlet. The Hellbent armor can handle extreme environments and cosmic-level threats, and someone needs to keep tactical awareness while you two are focused on combat. "The rest of us handle crowd control," Superman said. "Flash, coordinate with emergency services. Get civilians clear of the seed creatures. Cyborg, work with global militaries, contain the spread, don't try to kill them if it means risking civilian casualties. Hal, Martian Manhunter, air support, keep the flyers off evacuation routes." The Flash was vibrating with nervous energy. "How bad is this? Scale of 1 to apocalypse." "Apocalypse," Vegeta and Batman said simultaneously. Right, cool, love Tuesdays. The speedster vanished in a crack of lightning. Minutes later, Vegeta stood in the teleportation chamber with Wonder Woman and Batman, the latter now encased in black and gold armor that radiated power signatures suggesting both technological and mystical enhancement. Through his Kai sense, Vegeta detected the armor drawing energy from something beyond normal space, channeling it into force fields and weapon systems that could theoretically challenge gods. This universe was insane. A human in a metal suit preparing to fight planetary threats. And the most insane part, Vegeta believed he could do it. Ground rules, Batman said, voice modulated through the armor. Vegeta leads on tree architecture. Diana leads on combat tactics. I handle coordination and contingencies. We don't separate. We don't take unnecessary risks. We complete the mission and extract. Agreed, Diana said, checking her sword's edge with practiced efficiency. Vegeta nodded. Once we're inside the tree, expect everything to try killing us. The seeds outside are just the immune system. Inside, Turles will have prepared defenses specifically for me. Traps, ambushes, possibly other Saiyan warriors if he's found more. Other Saiyans, Diana's expression sharpened. How many could there be? I thought 3, not counting me. Now I know at least 4. Vegeta's voice was grim. Our race was nearly extinct. Every survivor is a warrior who earned that survival. Expect them to be strong, ruthless, and absolutely without mercy. Sounds like a Tuesday, Batman said. Cyborg coordinates locked. Locked, teleporting in 3, 2, 1. The world inverted, compressed, reassembled. They materialized in hell. The Amazon rainforest had been transformed into an alien landscape. Where jungle should have been, dark purple-black bark spread in massive columns that disappeared into clouds above. Roots thick as buildings burrowed through soil, sucking life from everything they touched. The air itself felt wrong, too dense, too charged with energy, smelling of rot and growth, and something that reminded Vegeta of Frieza's throne room. And everywhere the creatures. Thousands of them now, crawling across bark, flying through twisted branches, biomechanical horrors born from a fusion of plant and predator. They turned as one when the trio appeared, compound eyes reflecting malevolent intelligence. They know we're here, Diana observed, sword at the ready. Good, Vegeta let his aura flare, power rising to Super Saiyan without conscious thought. Let's give them something to remember. The creatures attacked in waves. Diana moved like war incarnate, sword carving through biomechanical flesh, bracers deflecting energy attacks. Thousands of years of Amazon combat training making her untouchable. Batman's armor blazed with firepower, explosive batarangs and energy cannons, thinning the horde, while his tactical analysis directed their path through the chaos toward the tree's central trunk. Vegeta fought with brutal efficiency, each strike designed to kill instantly, no wasted movement. His Kai blasts carved paths through the swarm, final flash reduced concentrations to ash, and his Saiyan biology sang with joy at the challenge. This was what he was born for, combat against overwhelming odds, power unleashed without restraint, warrior's purpose fulfilled. They reached the trunk after 10 minutes of fighting. Up close, it was even more massive, bark surface showing strange geometric patterns, pulsing with energy that his Kai sense read as concentrated life force stolen from the planet. Entry point, Batman said, scanning with armor sensors. 300 meters up, northwest side. The opening is large enough for single-file entry. Interior structure shows hollow passages leading down to the core. Then we climb. Diana's lasso wrapped around a trunk protrusion, pulling her upward in smooth arcs. Batman's armor jets activated, lifting him with mechanical precision. Vegeta simply flew with Kai propulsion, carrying him faster than both. They reached the opening, a wound in the bark that leaked viscous fluid and smelled of decay. Inside, absolute darkness, only Diana's bracelets providing light by their divine glow. I hate tight spaces, Batman muttered. which Vegeta found darkly amusing, coming from someone who chose to live in caves. The passage descended at steep angles, walls closing in until they moved single file, Vegeta first, Kai Sense probing ahead for threats, Diana second, ready to support, Batman last, covering their retreat. The tree's interior was wrong in ways that defied description, geometry that didn't match exterior dimensions, gravity that shifted unpredictably, sounds that came from impossible directions. Vegeta's instincts screamed danger constantly, but nothing attacked, nothing moved. Just endless descent through organic passages that felt increasingly like intestines digesting them slowly. Too quiet, Diana said, what they were all thinking. Trap, Batman agreed. Question is what kind? Vegeta stopped, Kai Sense detecting something ahead. We're about to find out. The passage opened into a massive chamber, a hollow space inside the tree's trunk, easily 500 meters across, walls pulsing with stolen life energy, floor covered in root structures that moved with predatory awareness. And at the chamber's center, sitting on a throne grown from twisted wood, Turles waited. But he wasn't alone. 3 other figures flanked him, Saiyan armor, Saiyan power signatures, and when they moved, tails lashing, Vegeta felt his blood run cold with recognition. Nappa. Impossible, he'd killed Nappa himself on Earth years ago. Raditz, equally impossible, Kakarot's brother, killed by Piccolo's special beam cannon. And a female Saiyan Vegeta didn't recognize, smaller, powerful, with the look of elite warrior caste. Welcome, Prince Vegeta, Turles said, grin sharp with triumph. I told you the tree of might grants miracles. Its fruit doesn't just increase power, it can resurrect the dead if their bodies are preserved properly. Allow me to reintroduce you to our fellow Saiyans. I believe you remember Nappa and Raditz from your previous association. Nappa cracked massive knuckles, grin spreading. Hello, Prince. Been a while since you murdered me. Looking forward to returning the favor. Raditz's tail lashed with barely contained aggression, and I'm eager to show my dear brother's friend exactly what a real Saiyan looks like. The female warrior simply stared, power signature burning with intensity that approached Vegeta's own base level. I am Tora, and I fight for the glory of the Saiyan race, not for earth-dwelling weaklings playing hero. 4 Saiyan warriors, all loyal to Turles, all bearing grudges, all are empowered by the Tree of Might fruit based on the intense power signatures radiating from them. Diana's sword came up, Batman's weapon systems activated, and Vegeta felt his Saiyan blood sing with the terrible joy of impossible odds. Well, he said, aura blazing gold, at least this won't be boring. Turles stood, power flaring. Kill the prince's companions, I want him alive. Frieza has plans for traitors. The chamber erupted into violence. Combat exploded across the chamber with the kind of violence that rewrote landscapes. Nappa charged Diana with earth-shaking force, massive fists swinging with technique refined through centuries of slaughter. The Amazon princess met him without hesitation, sword deflecting his first strike, bracers absorbing the second, then countering with a thrust that would have skewered normal flesh. It connected, driving through Saiyan muscle to scrape bone, but Nappa just laughed, blood streaming from the wound. Finally, a warrior. His hand caught Diana's wrist, attempting to break it through sheer grip strength. She twisted with 3,000 years of combat experience, using his momentum against him, sending the massive Saiyan crashing into root structures that splintered under impact. Raditz went for Batman with predatory calculation, recognizing the armored human as the weakest link. His tail lashed out like a whip, fast enough to blur, wrapping around Batman's throat. No Kai, no transformation, just metal and human flesh. You die first, weakling. Batman's response was immediate and devastating. The Hellbent armor blazed with energy drawn from the Rock of Eternity, amplifying the wearer's capabilities to fight gods. His gauntlet closed around Raditz's tail and crushed. Bones snapped audibly. Raditz screamed, releasing his grip, stumbling back and clutching his tail. In that moment of vulnerability, Batman's arm cannon discharged with force that could crack planets, the blast catching Raditz in the chest and launching him through 3 layers of bark wall. "This metal," Batman said flatly, "was built to fight Darkseid. You're not even close." Tora came at Vegeta from the left while Turles attacked from the right, a coordinated assault designed to overwhelm through superior numbers. Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 aura exploded outward, electrical discharge crackling through the chamber, and he moved with speed that made their coordination meaningless. His elbow caught Tora's jaw in passing, redirecting her momentum into a root structure. His Kai blast forced Turles to dodge rather than press the attack. And in the half-second of breathing room created, Vegeta assessed the tactical situation with warrior's clarity. 4 against 3. All Saiyans empowered by the Tree of Might fruit, meaning their base power had increased substantially. Nappa and Raditz were stronger than when he'd killed them, Zenkai boosts from resurrection, plus the fruit's enhancement. Tora was an unknown variable, possibly elite class based on her power signature. Turles himself had grown stronger in the 3 days since Metropolis, likely consuming more fruit. Diana could handle Nappa. The Amazon's divine durability and warrior skill made her capable of matching Saiyan strength. Batman's armor provided enough enhancement to survive Raditz, maybe even win if the Saiyan's arrogance led to mistakes. But Tora and Turles together were beyond what Vegeta could manage in Super Saiyan 2 while protecting his allies. Which meant he needed to escalate. "Diana," he shouted, dodging Turles' Kai blast that carved a trench through the chamber floor. "Batman, fall back to defensive positions. I'm going to end this quickly." "Quickly?" Turles laughed, gathering energy in both palms. "You're outnumbered, Prince, outmatched. And soon Frieza himself will arrive to watch your execution." Frieza. The name sent ice and fire through Vegeta's veins simultaneously. In his timeline, he'd helped kill that tyrant during the Tournament of Power. But this was a different Frieza, from a dimension where the tyrant had survived, rebuilt, and apparently learned dimensional travel. The idea of facing that monster again, of being dragged back to servitude, of Bulma and Trunks learning their husband and father had been enslaved by the being who destroyed his race. No, absolutely not. Never again. Vegeta's aura shifted, blue energy replacing gold, temperature in the chamber dropping as divine Kai flooded his system. Super Saiyan Blue, the form he'd achieved through training with Wise, through mastering God Kai, through pushing past every limitation his royal pride had ever imposed. His hair and aura burned blue with power that made the chamber's walls crack from pressure alone. Tora's expression shifted from confidence to uncertainty. What transformation is that?" "That," Vegeta said, voice absolutely cold, "is the power of a god." He moved. Tora had perhaps a tenth of a second to register his approach before his fist connected with her solar plexus, driving through her armor, breaking ribs, launching her across the chamber to crater into the far wall. She coughed blood, trying to rise, but Vegeta was already there, knee striking her temple with precision that induced instant unconsciousness without killing. 1 down. Turles fired his kill driver, the purple-black sphere of destruction that had threatened Metropolis. Vegeta caught it, simply caught it in his hand, divine Kai absorbing the energy, nullifying the attack that should have been devastating. He crushed it like paper, energy dissipating harmlessly, then appeared in front of Turles before the low-class warrior could retreat. "You've made 3 mistakes," Vegeta said conversationally, grabbing Turles by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. "First, you threatened my way home. Second, you endangered this planet's population. Third, you invoked Frieza's name as it would frighten me." He drove Turles' face first into the chamber floor with enough force to create a crater 10 meters deep. The impact should have killed a normal being. Turles was merely stunned, Saiyan durability keeping him alive but helpless. "I've killed gods," Vegeta continued, not releasing his grip. "I've fought the god of destruction. I've trained with angels. I've surpassed Super Saiyan 3, achieved divine transformation, and pushed beyond limits you can't even imagine. And you low-class waste, thought resurrecting corpses and feeding them tree fruit would make you my equal." He pulled Turles up only to slam him down again. Again. Each impact cratering deeper, each strike measured to cause maximum pain without killing. Because death was too good, death was mercy, and Vegeta was not feeling merciful. Vegeta, Superman's voice crackled through the communicator. We've cleared most of the seed creatures topside, but more are spawning. Whatever you're doing down there, do it faster. Write the mission. Destroy the core, kill the tree, save the planet. Personal vendetta could wait. Vegeta dropped Turles' semi-conscious form, turning toward the chamber's center where root structures converged into a massive pulsing core, the tree's heart glowing with stolen planetary life force. That was the target. Destroy that and the entire organism would die, except Nappa blocked his path. The massive Saiyan had separated from Diana, not through victory but through tactical retreat. Recognizing the threat Vegeta posed to their mission, blood streamed from a dozen sword wounds, armor cracked and broken, but he stood defiant, power flaring as high as it could reach. "You killed me once, Prince," Nappa growled. "Threw me in the air and blasted me to atoms because I was weak, because I'd failed you. Well, I'm stronger now. The fruit gave me power. Resurrection gave me purpose. And this time..." Vegeta's final flash erased him. No warning. No banter, no warrior's courtesy, just pure destructive energy channeled through Divine Kai, a golden blue beam that consumed Nappa entirely, reduced him to atoms, then reduced those atoms to energy, then scattered that energy across dimensions. Total annihilation. The silence that followed was profound. "This time," Vegeta said quietly, "you stay dead." Diana had frozen mid-combat, staring at where Nappa had been. Batman's armor sensors were probably recording everything, analyzing his power escalation, updating contingency plans. And somewhere in the chamber, Turles was conscious enough to witness what happened when you pushed a Saiyan prince past patience into wrath. "The core," Batman said, voice carefully neutral. "We need to destroy it." Vegeta nodded, approaching the pulsing mass of roots and stolen energy. Up close, it was almost beautiful, geometric patterns weaving through organic material, life force from millions of creatures compressed into a singular purpose. The Tree of Might was elegant genocide, efficient extinction, perfect destruction dressed as natural growth. He gathered Kai in both hands, power building to levels that made the chamber shake. This needed to be certain. One strike, overwhelming force. No possibility of survival or regeneration. "Wait," Raditz had emerged from the rubble, armor shattered, body broken, but still alive through Saiyan stubbornness. "You destroy that core, you kill all of us. The fruit's power sustains our resurrections. Without it, we die again." "I know," Vegeta said and fired. The final flash, amplified by Super Saiyan Blue, channeled through perfect Kai control, struck the core dead center. The tree screamed, a sound that wasn't sound, more a psychic wail of a dying organism transmitted through every cell. Light blazed through the chamber, through the trunk, through every root and branch spreading across the Amazon. The entire structure shuddered, convulsed, and began collapsing inward as the energy sustaining it dissipated. Raditz's scream cut off abruptly as his resurrection unraveled, body dissolving into light and memory. Tora followed, her unconscious form simply fatting like morning mist, and Turles, crawling toward escape, looked up at Vegeta with something between hatred and understanding. "You've changed, Prince," he said, voice weak but certain. "The Vegeta I knew would have joined us, would have seen the tree's potential and claimed it for yourself." "That Vegeta," Vegeta said coldly, "was a fool who mistook destruction for strength." "No," Turles coughed, blood, body beginning to dissolve. "That Vegeta was a true Saiyan. What are you now?" The question hung in the air as Turles faded into nothing, leaving only armor and memory. Extraction. Batman was already moving toward the chamber's exit, which was collapsing as the tree died. "We have 30 seconds before this entire structure comes down." They ran Diana first, using her godly speed to clear debris. Batman second, armor's jets providing thrust. Vegeta last because he could fly fastest and wanted to ensure nothing survived behind them. The passage they descended was compressing, roots withdrawing, bark crumbling. 20 seconds. 15. They burst from the trunk's opening into open air just as the entire tree of might collapsed inward. 3,000 meters of alien vegetation imploding with force that created a crater visible from orbit. The shockwave threw them clear, and Vegeta used his Kai to stabilize Diana and Batman before they could impact the ground hard enough to cause injury. They landed on the crater's edge, surrounded by destruction. Where the Amazon rainforest had been, now only scorched earth remained, a wound in the planet that would take decades to heal naturally. But the tree was dead. The seed creatures were dissolving, their life force tied to the core Vegeta had destroyed. And across the planet, Justice League members were reporting successful containment of the crisis. Vegeta powered down from Super Saiyan Blue, exhaustion hitting like physical weight. The form's energy cost was massive, even more so in this dimension where Kai felt constantly pressured by unfamiliar physics. He stumbled, caught himself, refused to show weakness even as his vision swam. Diana's hand steadied him. That was impressive, terrifying but impressive. It was necessary, Vegeta said, pride demanding he stand straight despite wanting to collapse. The tree had to die, Turles had to die. Bringing back Nappa and Raditz was, he paused, searching for words, an insult to their deaths. They died as Saiyan warriors. Resurrection turned them into puppets. Batman had removed his helmet, revealing Bruce Wayne's calculating expression. You killed them without hesitation. No trial, no imprisonment, no attempt at redemption. They were already dead, Vegeta corrected. I just made it permanent. And before you start your moral lecture, understand that letting them live would have meant more planets destroyed, more civilizations consumed by trees, more resurrections of Saiyan warriors who'd rather rest in peace. I'm not lecturing. Bruce's tone was thoughtful. I'm observing. You made a command decision in combat that prioritized mission success and civilian safety over enemy survival. That's what warriors do. What concerns me is how easily you made it. The implication was clear. Was Vegeta someone who could kill when necessary, or someone who killed because it was easy? I've killed thousands, Vegeta said quietly. Millions if you count everyone on planets I destroyed for Frieza. I carry that weight every day. Every time I see my son, I remember I'm teaching him to be a warrior while hopping he never becomes what I was. Every time Bulma looks at me with trust, I wonder if she really knows what I've done. So yes, I killed easily, because I'm efficient, but that doesn't mean it doesn't cost me. Superman arrived in a blur of red and blue, cape torn, costume scorched, but smiling with relief. The seed creatures are gone. No casualties reported. Flash got everyone clear in time. The tree's dead. You did it. He looked at Vegeta with something approaching admiration. You saved the planet. I destroyed a threat to my temporary home, Vegeta corrected. Don't make me into something I'm not. You say that a lot, Diana observed. For someone who claims not to be a hero, you keep doing heroic things. Coincidence. Consistent coincidence, Batman said dryly. Before Vegeta could formulate a sufficiently cutting response, reality rippled. Not like boom tubes, different. Darker. The air itself seemed to rot, shadows deepening until they achieved substance, and from those shadows figures emerged. 6 of them, humanoid but wrong, wearing black armor adorned with symbols that hurt to look at directly. Their power signatures made Vegeta's instincts scream threat levels approaching gods, and leading them, a being whose presence felt like anti-life, void given form, entropy personified. Fascinating, the leader said, voice carrying across the crater without raising volume. The Saiyan prince who destroys his own kind to protect a world not his own. Darkseid will find this information. Illuminating. Superman moved instantly to a defensive position. Parademons, modified, elite units. Furies, Batman corrected grimly. Darkseid's personal guard, which means Which means, the leader interrupted, that the Lord of Apocalypse extends an invitation. Vegeta, Prince of Saiyans, you have demonstrated power, tactical acumen, and most intriguingly, willingness to kill for strategic gain. Darkseid offers you what this pathetic Justice League cannot: honest employment. Serve Apocalypse and you will have resources to return home. Refuse. The void-touched being smiled with too many teeth. And Darkseid will ensure your dimension becomes his next conquest. Your family, your planet, your entire timeline consumed by Apocalypse. The threat hung in the air like poison. Vegeta felt Superman tense beside him, Diana's hand drift to her sword, and Batman's armor systems activate for combat. They would fight. Die fighting, probably, against Darkseid's furies and whatever forces lay behind them. And it would be his fault. His presence in this dimension had attracted Apocalypse's attention. His power had made Darkseid curious. His family was threatened because he'd been pulled through dimensional barriers by an accident he still didn't understand. He could accept, join Darkseid, use Apocalypse resources to find his way home, then betray the tyrant and escape. It was what the old Vegeta would have done: manipulate, deceive, survive at any cost. But the old Vegeta was dead, killed by love, parenthood, and the slow, painful realization that strength meant nothing if you had no one to protect with it. Tell Darkseid, Vegeta said, power rising despite exhaustion, that I serve no one. Not Frieza, not Turles, and certainly not some stone-faced tyrant who sends messengers instead of coming himself. If he wants me, he can try to take me. But he should know, I've killed gods before, and I'm always looking for stronger opponents. The Fury's expression didn't change, but Vegeta sensed satisfaction underneath, as if that was the answer Darkseid had wanted. So be it. 7 days, Prince. 7 days to prepare your defenses, settle your affairs, and say goodbye to your new friends. Then Apocalypse comes, and when the Omega beams find you, know that your pride has doomed this world. The shadows consumed them, and they were gone. Silence. Then Superman spoke, voice carefully controlled. You just declared war on Darkseid. I declared independence, Vegeta corrected. There's a difference. Not to him. Diana's expression was grim. Darkseid doesn't accept defiance. He'll come with full force, armies, furies, possibly the Omega effect itself. We've fought him before. It cost us everything. Then we fight him again. Vegeta was too tired for fear, too angry for caution. I won't kneel, not to him, not to anyone. If that means war, then war it is. Batman was already moving, mind clearly racing through tactical scenarios. 7 days. We can work for 7 days. Fortify Earth's defenses, call in every favor with the Green Lantern Corps, contact New Genesis for alliance, evacuate critical populations. No evacuations, Vegeta interrupted. Running shows weakness. We stand. We fight. We win. That's suicide, Superman said flatly. Vegeta, I admire your courage, but Darkseid isn't like Turles. He's conquered thousands of worlds, killed billions. His Omega beams can erase you from existence. We need strategy, not bravado. Then strategize. Vegeta turned to face them all, Superman with his concern, Diana with her warrior's assessment, Batman with his calculating mind. You wanted to know if I'm genuine about protecting instead of conquering. Here's your proof. I brought this threat to your world. I'll stand against it. Whether your league helps or stands aside is your choice, but I will not kneel and I will not run. The three heroes exchanged glances, that wordless communication of warriors who trusted each other through impossible odds. Finally, Superman nodded. Then we stand together, 7 days to prepare. After that, he smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. After that, we show Darkseid why Earth doesn't bow. Vegeta felt something unfamiliar in his chest, not quite camaraderie, not exactly friendship, but something close. Respect, maybe. Recognition between warriors who understood that some lines couldn't be crossed without losing everything that made strength meaningful. 7 days, he agreed. Make them count. As they teleported back to the watchtower, Vegeta allowed himself one moment of weakness, a prayer to whatever gods might listen that Bulma and Trunks would never know how close he'd come to damning 2 universes through Saiyan pride. Then the weakness passed and the warrior returned. 7 days until Darkseid. 7 days to become stronger. 7 days to prove that redemption wasn't weakness, and that a Saiyan prince could protect without conquering. The countdown had begun. The watchtower transformed into a fortress over the next 6 days. Vegeta watched it happen with a warrior's appreciation for tactical preparation. Batman coordinated global defense networks with military precision. Every government briefed, every superhero team mobilized, every contingency planned down to the last detail. Green Lantern Hal Jordan had returned to Oa to petition the Guardians for core support, though his expression before leaving suggested he didn't expect much. The Guardians rarely interfered in local conflicts, even when those conflicts threatened entire planets. Wonder Woman worked with governments to establish evacuation protocols that Vegeta had protested and Superman had overruled. Hope for victory, the Kryptonian had said. Prepare for survival. It was pragmatic thinking that reminded Vegeta uncomfortably of how Bulma approached problems, always a backup plan, always assuming the worst while working toward the best. The Flash coordinated with every speedster on Earth, Kid Flash, Jesse Quick, Jay Garrick, even the reformed Reverse Flash from some timeline alteration Vegeta didn't fully understand. Their job was civilian extraction if containment failed. 10 speedsters working in perfect coordination could evacuate major cities in minutes. It wouldn't save everyone, but it would save millions. Cyborg interfaced with every satellite, defense system, and communication network on the planet, creating an integrated tactical grid that would give them real-time awareness of apocalypse forces the moment they arrived. He'd also hacked into something called Brother Eye, one of Batman's contingency systems, apparently designed to monitor, and if necessary, eliminate superhuman threats. The irony of using Batman's paranoia to defend Earth wasn't lost on anyone. Martian Manhunter reached out psychically to every telepath on the planet, creating a mental defense network against Apocalypse mind control technology. Darkseid's forces used fear and subjugation as weapons, and Jaeon was determined to blunt that edge. And Vegeta trained. He spent 18 hours a day in the Watchtower's combat simulation rooms, pushing his body past exhaustion, draining his Kai reserves to empty, and then forcing them to refill stronger. Zenkai boosts required near-death experiences, but constant training built efficiency, refined technique, compressed power into smaller, more controlled packages. He practiced maintaining Super Saiyan Blue for longer periods, reducing the energy drain, smoothing the transformation until it felt as natural as breathing. On the 3rd day, Zatanna and Dr. Fate arrived with news about dimensional transit. Fate spoke first, the Lord of Order's voice emanating from the golden helmet with an alien echo that made Vegeta's teeth ache. Your home dimension exists beyond the source wall's influence, operating on fundamental forces we cannot manipulate directly. Kai instead of the emotional spectrum. No speed force. No connection to the divine. It is fundamentally incompatible with our reality. But, Zatanna added quickly, seeing Vegeta's expression darken, we've found a theoretical path. If we can generate enough raw energy, and I mean stupid amounts like punch through reality levels, we might be able to force a temporary breach. You'd have maybe 10 seconds to transit before the dimensions snap back and seal forever. How much energy? Vegeta demanded. Fate's helmet turned toward him, expressionless but somehow conveying grim certainty. Equivalent to a supernova, compressed into a single point, released with precision that would require nanosecond timing. A supernova's worth of energy. Vegeta ran calculations through his warrior's mind. At full power, Super Saiyan Blue, he could maybe generate a planet-destroying attack. A star-destroying attack was orders of magnitude beyond that. Maybe if he pushed to Ultra Instinct, but he'd only achieved that form once during the Tournament of Power and couldn't reliably access it. Can it be done? He asked. Theoretically, Zatanna said, but you'd need help, a lot of help. Multiple energy sources coordinated perfectly, And even then, we're talking about massive collateral damage to local space-time. The breach point would be unsafe, Fate interrupted. The energy release would sterilize everything within 1,000 kilometers, possibly destabilize Earth's orbit, almost certainly alert every cosmic entity in this sector to our presence. In other words, impossible to attempt anywhere near civilian populations. Impossible to attempt without risking catastrophic consequences. Impossible to attempt until after Darkseid was handled, because generating that much energy would leave them helpless against any attack. After Darkseid, Vegeta said, filing the information away. We'll discuss it after, if there was an after. On the fourth day, Superman found Vegeta in the observation deck, staring at Earth through reinforced transparisteel. The planet looked peaceful from orbit, blue and green and white, completely ignorant of the cosmic scale violence about to descend on it. Reminds me of Krypton, Superman said quietly, floating beside him. My birth planet. I was an infant when it died, so I don't really remember it. But Jor-El's recordings showed me what it looked like. Beautiful, advanced, confident in its superiority. And then it exploded, Vegeta finished, taking billions with it. Yes, Superman's reflection in the transparent steel showed sadness that looked ancient despite his relatively young face. I'm the last, the sole survivor of an entire civilization. Sometimes that weight is, he paused. You understand, the last Saiyan prince. Your race was destroyed by a tyrant. You carry your people's legacy alone. Not alone, Vegeta corrected. Kakarot is Saiyan, so are our children Trunks, Goten, even Gohan, though he refuses to embrace it properly. The bloodline survives, changed, mixed with human genetics, but alive. That's more than I have. Superman's smile was wistful. Kara, my cousin, but no chance of continuing our species. We're the end of the line. Maybe that's why I fight so hard to protect Earth. It's the only home I have left. They stood in silence for several minutes, two aliens watching the world they'd chosen to defend. Finally, Vegeta spoke. I need to ask you something about injustice. Superman's posture shifted, subtle tension, old pain surfacing. What about it? Batman mentioned it, Lex Luthor referenced it, everyone treats it like a warning. Vegeta turned to face the Kryptonian directly. What happened? What could make you, someone who holds back against opponents who want to kill you, become a tyrant? The silence stretched long enough that Vegeta thought Superman wouldn't answer. Then quietly, the Joker. He tricked me into killing Lois Lane, my wife. Our unborn child, destroyed Metropolis with a nuclear weapon. Millions dead, and all for a joke. The words hung in the air like lead. In that timeline, Superman continued, voice absolutely flat, I broke, killed the Joker with my bare hands. Decided that if I just controlled everything, enforced peace through power, I could prevent it from happening again. I became what I'd always feared, a god imposing his will on humanity. The regime lasted for years. Thousands died resisting me. And I believed, right up until Batman defeated me, that I was doing the right thing. Vegeta absorbed this, understanding clicking into place. You're afraid you'll fall again. Terrified, Superman admitted. Every day I hold back. Every time I let a villain escape instead of ending them permanently. Every time I watch innocent people die because I wasn't strong enough or fast enough. I wonder if that's the moment, if that's the trigger that makes me snap again. It won't be. Superman looked at him with surprise. How can you be sure? Because you're aware of the danger, because you've seen where that path leads and rejected it consciously. Vegeta crossed his arms, choosing words carefully. I was a monster once. Killed without remorse, destroyed civilizations without thought, served a tyrant because I was too weak to resist and too proud to admit weakness. The difference between who I was and who I am isn't power. I'm actually stronger now than I was then. The difference is choice. Every day I choose to protect instead of destroy. Some days that choice is easy. Some days it's the hardest thing I've ever done. And if Darkseid threatens your family, Superman asked quietly, if the only way to save Bulma and Trunks is to become what you were? The question hit at the core of every fear Vegeta had carried since becoming a father. What would he do? What lines would he cross? How much of his soul would he sacrifice to keep them safe? "I don't know," he admitted. "I'd like to think I'd find another way, but honestly, if someone threatened my son, I'd burn galaxies to ash without hesitation. The only thing keeping me from being a monster is that no one's pushed me that far since I changed." "Then we're the same," Superman said. "Powers born from distant worlds trying to be better than our potential while knowing that potential could destroy everything we love. It's exhausting." "Yes," Vegeta agreed. "It is." They stood together in understanding. Not friendship exactly, but something deeper. Recognition between warriors who carried similar burdens, fought similar battles, and understood that strength without restraint was just destruction wearing a crown. On the 6th day, Batman summoned Vegeta to the Batcave. The teleportation coordinates took him to Earth's surface, inside a cavern system beneath a mansion that reeked of old money and older secrets. The cave was exactly what Vegeta expected from someone like Batman. Technology integrated with natural rock formations, vehicle bays containing impossible machines, a supercomputer that probably had more processing power than most planetary defense networks, and everywhere shadows. Batman stood at the computer, still wearing the cowl despite being in his private sanctum. "I've been analyzing your combat data. Power output, energy efficiency, tactical decision-making. You fight well, but you fight alone. Tomorrow, that could be fatal." "I've always fought alone," Vegeta said, annoyed at being summoned for a lecture. "It's worked so far." "Has it?" Batman pulled up holographic footage, Vegeta's battle against Turles in the Tree of Might's core. "You escalated to Super Saiyan Blue immediately when outnumbered. Efficient, but you exhausted yourself. Look at your energy output here." He highlighted a graph showing massive spikes. "You're burning through reserves at unsustainable rates. Against Darkseid's armies, you'll run out of power before you run out of targets." Vegeta wanted to argue, but the data was undeniable. "What's your point?" "My point is that the Justice League fights as a team because individual power isn't enough against existential threats. Superman is strong enough to move planets, but he can't be everywhere at once. Diana is immortal and skilled, but even she has limits. I'm human with expensive toys, but I survive by thinking 3 steps ahead. Together, we cover each other's weaknesses." "Saiyans don't have weaknesses," Vegeta said automatically. "Arrogance, pride, tendency toward berserker rage in combat, over-reliance on transformation escalation, vulnerability to magic, finite energy reserves." Batman listed them with clinical precision. "You have weaknesses, Vegeta. The question is whether you're smart enough to compensate for them." The insult was calculated, designed to provoke. Vegeta felt his pride flare, wanted to demonstrate exactly how weak this human was, wanted to prove that Saiyan power transcended tactical limitations. Instead, he forced himself to think, to actually consider what Batman was saying. "Fine," he growled. "What do you suggest?" Batman pulled up tactical formations, complex diagrams showing Justice League deployment patterns, energy coordination, and mutual support structures. "Tomorrow, Darkseid comes. He'll bring thousands of Parademons, dozens of Furies, and possibly other new gods. We can't match his numbers, so we don't try. We use choke points, concentrated firepower, and strategic retreats to bleed his forces while protecting civilians." The formations made sense from a tactical standpoint, but they required something Vegeta had spent his entire life avoiding: cooperation. "Where do I fit in this?" "Mobile strike force with Superman and Diana. You 3 are our heaviest hitters. Your job is to engage elite threats, Furies, mini-bosses, anything strong enough that regular League members can't handle it. Flash and the Speedsters handle civilian extraction. Cyborg coordinates from the Watchtower. Green Lantern, if he gets core support, provides orbital bombardment. I direct tactical deployment from ground level. And if Darkseid himself appears." Batman's expression was grim behind the cowl. "Then we pray. and we hit him with absolutely everything we have. He's fought the League before, never lost. Best case scenario, we survive long enough for him to get bored and leave. Worst case, he didn't finish. Vegeta understood. Worst case, Earth became another of Darkseid's conquered worlds. Billions enslaved, Justice League is dead. And Vegeta himself either killed or was dragged back to wherever Frieza was lurking, enslaved once more. "I won't let that happen," he said quietly. "See that you don't." Batman shut down the displays. "One more thing. I've prepared contingencies for you, in case you turn hostile or get mind-controlled. Kryptonite variants adapted for Saiyan biology, frequency disruptors calibrated to Kai energy, and as a last resort, a red sun generator that should temporarily nullify your powers. You really don't trust anyone, do you?" "I trust people to be human, to make mistakes, to be compromised, corrupted, or controlled." Batman's voice softened fractionally. "I trust Superman with my life. I trust Diana absolutely, and I'm starting to trust you. But trust without preparation is just hope, and hope isn't a strategy." "Paranoid," Vegeta observed. "Alive," Batman corrected. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we find out if 7 days were enough." The teleportation effect pulled Vegeta back to the watchtower, but Batman's words echoed in his mind. Trust without preparation is just hope. It was something Bulma would say, something that made too much sense to dismiss as human weakness. On the 7th day, Vegeta stood in the watchtower's observation deck at dawn, watching Earth rotate beneath them. Somewhere down there, Bulma was probably waking up in a different timeline, wondering where her husband was. Trunks was training, probably trying to get stronger like his father taught him. And Kakarot was likely eating enough food for 6 people while Chicha yelled at him about grocery bills. Vegeta's family, his home, his purpose. And here he stood, about to fight a war for a world that wasn't his, alongside heroes he barely knew, against a tyrant whose power might exceed his own. Pride said he should have refused Darkseid's messengers, fought alone, proven Saiyan superiority through individual strength. But pride had nearly destroyed him countless times. Pride had kept him weak when he could have been strong. Pride had almost cost him everything that mattered. So instead of pride, Vegeta chose something harder: trust. Trust that the Justice League knew their enemy. Trust that Batman's tactics would work. Trust that Superman and Wonder Woman could fight as his equals instead of his subordinates. Trust that somehow together they'd survive what was coming. The alarm blared, Cyborg's voice cutting through the watchtower's communication system with urgent precision. Boom tube signatures, multiple entry points across the planet, energy readings consistent with apocalypse technology. "This is it, people. Darkseid is here." Vegeta's aura flared gold as he transformed to Super Saiyan, then compressed further as he pushed into Super Saiyan Blue. Divine Kai flooded his system, temperature dropping, power rising to levels that made the observation deck's walls crack from pressure alone. Superman appeared beside him in a blur, cape streaming, expression set with determination. Wonder Woman materialized seconds later, sword drawn, armor gleaming. The Trinity, plus one Saiyan prince who'd somehow become their ally. "Ready?" Superman asked. Vegeta grinned, sharp and feral and alive with the anticipation of battle against overwhelming odds. "I'm a Saiyan warrior. I was born ready." "Then let's show Darkseid," Wonder Woman said, eyes blazing with 3,000 years of combat experience. "Why Earth doesn't kneel." They teleported to ground-level New York City, where the first boom tube had opened above Times Square. And through that swirling vortex of dimensional energy, Darkseid's forces poured forth like a nightmare-given form. Thousands of parademons, biomechanical horrors with wings and claws and eyes that glowed with malevolent hunger. Dozens of Furies, elite warriors in black armor, each one powerful enough to challenge Superman individually. War machines the size of buildings, bristling with weapon systems that could level cities. And overhead, through the boom tube's aperture, something massive and terrible began to emerge. A ship, not a ship, a mobile fortress, dark metal carved with symbols that hurt to look at, energy signatures that registered as miniature stars compressed into weapon batteries. Apocalypse Prime, Batman's voice crackled through their communicators. Darkseid's flagship. He's not just invading, he's bringing his entire mobile base. This is total war. Good, Vegeta said, power blazing around him like blue flame. I prefer my enemies committed. The first wave of parademons descended, and the battle for Earth began. The battle opened with the kind of violence that rewrote cities. Vegeta moved through the parademon swarm like death incarnate, each strike precisely calibrated to kill instantly. His Kai blasts carved through biomechanical flesh, final flash reduced concentrations to ash, and his Saiyan biology sang with pure joy at finally unleashing power without restraint. These weren't civilians to protect or allies to coordinate with, just enemies to destroy, targets to eliminate, obstacles between him and Darkseid. Superman fought with controlled fury beside him, heat vision carving through parademon formations, fists pulverizing armor and bone with brutal efficiency. But even fighting at levels that could shatter continents, the Kryptonian held back, every strike measured to avoid collateral damage, every movement calculated to protect the city around them. Wonder Woman's sword danced through the chaos, 3,000 years of Amazon combat technique making her untouchable, divine steel severing wings and limbs with surgical precision. Eastern flank collapsing, Cyborg's voice crackled through communications. Flash, redirect speedsters to Sector 7. Green Lantern, we need aerial bombardment on the coordinates I'm sending. Martian Manhunter, parademon command structure detected, priority target for mental disruption. Batman's tactical coordination was flawless. The Justice League moved like a machine, each hero positioned precisely, supporting each other, covering weaknesses, amplifying strengths. Vegeta watched it happen with warriors' appreciation even as he fought. This was why they survived. Not individual power, but coordinated excellence. A Fury descended, female, armor black as void, power signature burning hot enough to challenge Vegeta's Super Saiyan Blue. Her name, transmitted through some kind of battlefield communication, was Lashina. She wielded energy whips that crackled with destructive force, each strike capable of carving through steel. The Saiyan, she said, voice carrying over the chaos. Darkseid wants you alive. Surrender and we'll spare this city. Vegeta's response was a Kai blast that forced her to dodge, then a knee strike that she barely blocked with crossed whips. They exchanged perhaps 20 blows in 3 seconds, each impact generating shockwaves that shattered windows for blocks. She was good, genuinely skilled, centuries of combat experience evident in every movement. But she wasn't wise. She wasn't Beerus. She wasn't even Kakarot. She was just another obstacle. His final flash, compressed to a tight beam rather than wide dispersal, punched through her energy whip defense and connected dead center. The Fury screamed, armor cracking, body launched backward through 3 buildings before cratering into the street. She twitched once, then went still, not dead but absolutely out of the fight. One down, Vegeta muttered, already seeking the next threat. The battle raged for an hour, then 2. Vegeta lost track of time, lost himself in the rhythm of combat, dodge, strike, blast, kill, repeat. His Super Saiyan Blue form held steady despite the energy drain, Divine Kai flowing with efficiency that surprised him. Maybe Batman's criticism about energy management had actually helped. Maybe fighting alongside rather than alone made conservation easier. Or maybe he was just getting stronger. Saiyans always got stronger through combat. Vegeta, Superman's shout cut through his combat focus. The flagship, it's charging some kind of weapon. Vegeta looked up. The massive Apocalypse ship hung over the city like a metal moon, and along its underside energy was gathering, dark red light that made his instincts scream danger. Not Kai, not magic, something else, something that felt like entropy given form. Omega Cannon, Batman's voice was tight with barely controlled fear. Modified Omega beam technology, amplified to artillery scale. If that fires, it'll sterilize everything within a 100-kilometer radius. Can we stop it? Wonder Woman had appeared beside them, breathing hard, sword dripping with biomechanical blood. Not from here. Cyborg's tactical analysis came rapid fire. The ship's shields are designed to resist Superman-level impacts. We'd need concentrated firepower at a single weak point maintained long enough to burn through. I'm talking minutes of sustained assault. Minutes, an eternity in combat. And the weapon was charging now. Vegeta could see it, feel it, the destructive energy building toward critical mass. I can do it, he said. Superman turned to him sharply. You'll be exposed. Every Parademan, every Fury, everything on that ship will target you the moment you start. It's suicide. Then keep them off me. Vegeta was already rising, Kai gathering in both hands, power building toward his absolute limit. I'll handle the cannon, you handle everything else. Vegeta. I didn't come to this universe to watch it burn. The words came out harsher than intended, but truth often was harsh. You wanted to know if I'm genuine about protecting instead of conquering. Here's your answer. Now do your job and let me do mine. He didn't wait for agreement. Simply flew, rising toward the Apocalypse flagship with a blue aura blazing like a comet. Behind him, he heard Superman bark orders, League members converging to provide cover, speedsters creating diversions, Batman directing fire to keep the Parademons occupied. The moment Vegeta broke from the main battle, every weapon system on the ship targeted him. Energy beams, missile batteries, kinetic accelerators, thousands of projectiles converging on a single point. He dodged what he could, tanked what he couldn't, felt his divine Kai shield absorbing impacts that would have atomized normal matter. Pain registered, shields weren't perfect. Some attacks got through. Saiyan flesh burned and bled and hurt. But pain was just data. Information about damage. It didn't stop a warrior. 50 meters from the ship, the Omega Cannon's charging cycle was nearly complete, energy concentration reaching critical mass. Vegeta could see the weak point Cyborg had identified, a thermal exhaust port maybe 3 meters wide, protected by shields but vulnerable to sustained penetration. His final flash began to form, not the quick combat version he'd been using all day, but the true attack. The one that took time to charge, that gathered every ounce of power he could channel, that required standing still and vulnerable while energy condensed to universe-shattering density. Parademons swarmed him, hundreds of them, recognizing the threat, converging with claws and teeth and desperate hatred. Superman appeared in a blue-red blur, heat vision carving through the swarm, fists pulverizing anything that got close. Wonder Woman's lasso wrapped around a dozen simultaneously, crushing them together with Amazon strength. The Flash ran vertically up Vegeta's forming energy blast, vibrating at frequencies that disrupted Parademan navigation systems and made them miss their attacks. Almost there, Vegeta's muscles strained, every fiber of his being focused on compression, on control, on channeling power that wanted to explode in every direction into a single devastating thrust. 30 seconds. A Fury appeared, male, massive, wielding an axe that glowed with antimatter containment. Steppenwolf, Darkseid's uncle, is a warrior who'd conquered thousands of worlds. His power signature dwarfed anything Vegeta had felt except Darkseid himself. The axe swung down with force that could split continents. Batman materialized between them, Hellbat armor blazing with borrowed divine energy, gauntlets catching the axe blade, holding it through sheer technological enhancement and indomitable will. You want him? Go through me. Pathetic human in borrowed. Steppenwolf's insult cut off as Batman's arm cannon, charged with speed force energy siphoned from the Flash's wake, discharged point-blank into the new god's face. Steppenwolf staggered, more from surprise than damage, and in that moment, Wonder Woman's sword found the gap in his armor, driving deep into muscle and bone. The new god roared, backhanding Wonder Woman hard enough to send her tumbling through the air. Superman caught her, but the distraction cost him. Parademons overwhelmed his position, dragging him down through sheer numbers. Batman's armor sparked and failed, energy reserves depleted. And Steppenwolf, bleeding but far from beaten, raised his axe for a killing blow. 20 seconds, Vegeta growled through clenched teeth. The energy in his hands had achieved critical mass, was fighting to release, demanding an explosion. His arms shook with the effort of containing it. Hold. The flash became a red-yellow tornado, literally running fast enough to create winds that scattered parademons. Martian Manhunter phased through the swarm, telepathic assault disrupting their coordination. Cyborg's boom tube opened directly above Steppenwolf, dropping 3 tons of apocalypse debris on the new god's head, not enough to seriously hurt him, but enough to disrupt his killing strike. 10 seconds. The Omega cannon completed its charge. Vegeta felt the weapon lock onto ground coordinates. Times Square, city center, maximum casualties. Darkseid's message was clear: submit or watch millions die. 5 seconds. Steppenwolf broke free of debris, axe rising. Superman, Diana, Batman, Flash, all of them were down or occupied. No one between the new god and Vegeta's exposed position. The axe descended, and Vegeta couldn't dodge without losing his charge, couldn't defend without releasing the attack prematurely. He was going to die. The axe would cleave him in half and Earth would burn. Then Green Lantern Hal Jordan appeared in a flash of emerald light, not alone, but leading a formation of 50 Green Lanterns, their combined willpower constructing a shield that caught Steppenwolf's axe, held it, and gave Vegeta the final seconds he needed. "Sorry, we're late," Hal shouted over the chaos. "Had to convince the Guardians this was worth core intervention. Turns out Darkseid is invading does the trick. Now," Cyborg's voice cut through everything. "Weak point exposed, fire." Vegeta released. The final flash erupted from his hands with force that pushed him backward. Divine Chi compressed to impossible density, then unleashed in a beam of pure golden blue destruction. It punched through the Apocalypse ship's shields like they weren't there, drilled into the thermal exhaust port, and penetrated deep into the flagship's core. For one perfect moment, nothing happened. Then the ship exploded. Not disintegrated, exploded, catastrophic chain reaction as power systems detonated. Ammunition stores went critical, structural integrity failed. The Apocalypse flagship, the mobile fortress that had conquered thousands of worlds, simply came apart in orbital space, chunks of dark metal raining down like meteors. The Omega cannon died incomplete, energy dissipating harmlessly into the atmosphere. The Parademon swarm faltered, losing coordination without the flagship's command structure. Furies who'd been pressing the attack suddenly broke off, retreating toward boom tubes that opened across the battlefield. They were winning. Then reality cracked. The sensation was visceral, wrong, like the universe itself rejecting something's presence. A boom tube opened, not above the city like the others, but directly in Times Square, displacing matter at the atomic level, forcing its way into reality through sheer will. And through that impossible aperture, Darkseid stepped. He was exactly as terrifying as legend suggested. 3 meters tall, built like living stone, wearing armor carved with symbols that predated Earth's sun. His eyes glowed red with Omega effect, the power to erase beings from existence, to unmake reality through focused will. His presence alone bent local physics, gravity increasing, light dimming, hope dying in the hearts of everyone who could see him. The Lord of Apocalypse had arrived. "Impressive," Darkseid's voice carried without shouting, each word heavy with the weight of conquered worlds. "You destroyed my flagship, repelled my forces, demonstrated tactical acumen and raw power worthy of note. But now," his eyes fixed on Vegeta specifically, "now you face the consequence of defying Darkseid." The Omega beams lanced out, twin rays of red light that tracked their target with perfect accuracy, could not be dodged or blocked by conventional means. They struck Vegeta dead center, and agony beyond description flooded his nervous system. Not physical pain exactly, but existential pain. The sensation of reality trying to erase him, to remove him from the timeline, to make it so he'd never existed. His Saiyan biology fought back. Divine Kai reinforced his essence. Sheer stubbornness refused erasure. But he was losing. Then Superman was there, taking the Omega beams himself, interposing his invulnerable body between Darkseid and Vegeta. The Kryptonian screamed, every cell fighting against the erasure effect, but he held. Wonder Woman's lasso wrapped around Darkseid's arm, divine magic attempting to restrain a god. Batman's remaining Hellbat energy discharged in a desperate attack that accomplished nothing except drawing Darkseid's attention. Feudal, Darkseid said, and with casual contempt threw Superman through a building. You cannot win, you have never won, you exist only because I permit it. Your resistance amuses me, your defiance gives me pleasure, but ultimately you are nothing before Darkseid. Green Lantern Corps descended in formation, 50 rings glowing bright. Darkseid of Apocalypse, by the authority of the Guardians of Oa, you are hereby. The Omega beams swept across their formation. 20 lanterns simply ceased to exist, erased from reality so completely that even their rings forgot them. The survivors scattered, shields barely holding against power that transcended normal physics. Vegeta pulled himself upright, Super Saiyan blue flickering. He was exhausted, energy reserves depleted from the final flash, body damaged from sustained combat. Against Turles, he'd had allies and preparation. Against the Tree of Might, he'd had purpose and time. Against Darkseid, he had nothing except stubborn Saiyan pride and the terrible realization that he was outmatched. You wanted my attention, Prince, Darkseid said, approaching with measured steps that cracked pavement beneath his weight. You have it. Now witness what happens to those who defy. Hey, the voice was cheerful, absurdly out of place in the apocalyptic battlefield. Vegeta turned and his heart nearly stopped. Standing on a pile of Paradaman corpses, eating what looked like a sandwich, wearing his iconic orange gi, was Kakarot. Son Goku, the low-class Saiyan warrior from Universe 7, his rival, his equal, his friend, though admitting that caused physical pain. Goku, Vegeta's voice cracked. How? Had some help from King Kai and the Dragon Balls, Goku said cheerfully, hopping down. Sensed your power signature in a weird direction, figured you were in trouble. Took a while to navigate dimensional barriers, but I'm here now. He looked at Darkseid and his expression shifted to pure martial excitement. And wow, you're strong. Way stronger than anything I've felt in a while. This is gonna be fun. Darkseid studied Goku with something approaching interest. Another Saiyan, stronger than the prince. Intriguing. I'm Goku, he waved cheerfully. And I heard you've been threatening my friend here. That's not cool, so how about we settle this warrior to warrior? Kakarot, Vegeta growled, struggling to stand. This isn't your fight, this isn't your universe. Vegeta, Goku replied, suddenly serious. You're my rival, my friend. You think I'm gonna let some stone-faced tyrant push you around? He grinned that idiotic grin that Vegeta had spent decades hatting and secretly admiring. Besides, you look like you could use a Senzu bean. He tossed a small green bean. Vegeta caught it instinctively, pride warring with pragmatism. Eating it would admit weakness, would accept help, and would acknowledge he couldn't win alone. He ate it. Instant restoration. Energy flooded back, wounds healed, fatigue vanished. Senzu beans, the magical healing items from his universe, are working even in this alien reality. And beside him, Goku's power was rising, not transforming yet, just powering up, testing the waters against this new opponent. Together, Goku asked, offering his hand. Vegeta stared at that hand for 3 heartbeats. Every instinct screamed to refuse, to prove he could defeat Darkseid alone, to maintain the pride that defined him. Then he remembered Bulma's wisdom, Trunks' trust, Superman's choice to take the Omega beams, Wonder Woman's warrior philosophy, Batman's pragmatic paranoia. The Justice League is fighting as one. Together, he agreed, taking Goku's hand. But I get the final blow. We'll see about that. Goku's aura exploded gold, then blue, Super Saiyan blue, matching Vegeta's transformation. 2 Saiyans, divine power blazing, standing united against impossible odds. Darkseid actually smiled. Yes, this will be entertaining. The final battle began. Two Saiyans moved in perfect synchronization, not planned, just instinctive understanding born from years of rivalry and partnership. Goku's cheerful aggression complemented Vegeta's tactical precision. Kamehameha met Final Flash, combining into devastating dual energy attacks. They separated and converged, attacked and feinted, pushed Darkseid harder than he'd been pushed in centuries. But it wasn't enough. Darkseid was inevitable. His Omega beams tracked perfectly. His strength exceeded theirs. His durability absorbed their strongest attacks with minimal damage. He was everything Beerus had been, a wall they couldn't climb, a ceiling they couldn't break, proof that even Saiyan potential had limits. "Is this your best?" Darkseid asked, catching Goku's punch with one hand while backhanding Vegeta with the other. Pathetic. The Justice League attacked together. Superman's heat vision, Wonder Woman's divine lightning, Green Lantern constructs, Flash's infinite mass punch, everything coordinated through Batman's tactical direction. It slowed Darkseid, annoyed him, but didn't stop him. "We need a miracle," Cyborg transmitted. "Something to tip the scales because conventional assault isn't working." Vegeta's mind raced. What did they have? Two Super Saiyan Blues, the Justice League, Green Lantern Corps support. Against Darkseid, who'd fought these heroes before and won. Then he remembered Zatanna's words, a supernova's worth of energy compressed to a single point. "Kakarot," he said, "fusion." Goku's eyes widened. "The Patara earrings are in Universe 7, we'd need." "Not Patara, the fusion dance. 30 minutes of power, but if we combine our divine Kai." He looked at Darkseid, calculating. "It might be enough. The dance takes time, and we'd be vulnerable during." "I'll buy you time." Superman had appeared beside them, costume torn, bleeding from a dozen wounds, but standing firm. "Justice League, form up. We hold the line." Every hero on the battlefield understood. This was the moment, the gamble, everything on two Saiyans executing a perfect fusion while Darkseid tried to kill them. 5 seconds, Vegeta said. "Don't mess it up." "Me? You're the one who always messes up the timing," Goku protested, but he was already moving into position. Danced. The fusion dance, ridiculous choreography that required perfect synchronization, exact power levels, and absolute timing. While they danced, Darkseid attacked. Superman blocked with his body. Wonder Woman's lasso restrained the tyrant's arm. Batman's last explosive batarang detonated against stone flesh. Flash vibrated through Darkseid's chest, disrupting his cellular structure. Martian Manhunter phased into his mind, telepathic assault buying precious seconds. Fu, Sion, Ha. Their fingertips touched. Light blazed, reality bent, and where two Saiyans had been, one warrior stood. Vegeta, the ultimate Saiyan fusion. Blue hair, blue aura, power signature that registered as a divine supernova compressed into humanoid form. He looked at his hands, felt the perfect balance of Goku's instinct and Vegeta's tactics, and smiled with shared consciousness. "Hello, Darkseid," Vegeta said, voice carrying both Saiyans' tones. "Ready for a real fight." The Lord of Apocalypse actually stepped back. Just one step. But for a being who never retreated, never showed weakness, that single step spoke volumes. Interesting. Vegeta moved, and the battle that followed rewrote the definition of combat. The speed that made Superman look stationary. Strength that pulverized new god flesh. Energy attacks that carved through dimensional barriers. For 10 minutes, Vegeta fought at levels that made gods weep, pushing Darkseid back, actually damaging him, proving that Saiyan potential truly had no ceiling. But fusion had limits. 30 minutes for Patara, less for the dance, and divine power burned through it faster. Vegeta felt the fusion weakening, time running out. One chance, one attack, everything they had. Final Kamehameha. Golden blue energy erupted, Goku's signature attack amplified by Vegeta's divine Kai, compressed through fusion's perfect balance. It struck Darkseid with enough force to crack reality, drove him backward, burned through his armor and made him scream for the first time in millennia. The beam pushed him into the boom tube he'd arrived through, pushed him back to Apocalypse. And as the dimensional portal began to close, Vegeta met those burning red eyes one final time. "Tell Frieza," he said coldly, "that the Saiyans send their regards." The boom tube snapped shut. Darkseid was gone. The remaining Parademons dissolved, their command structure shattered. Earth was saved. Vegeto's fusion ended, splitting back into Vegeta and Goku. Both collapsed, utterly exhausted, every ounce of energy depleted. Superman caught them before they hit the ground. "You did it," the Kryptonian said, genuine awe in his voice. "You actually beat him." "We held him off," Vegeta corrected weakly. "He'll be back." "But not today." Wonder Woman was smiling through blood and exhaustion. "Today, Earth stands, thanks to you both." Goku laughed, that cheerful sound that had annoyed Vegeta for decades. "Man, that was fun. We should fight guys from other dimensions more often." "You're an idiot," Vegeta muttered, but he was smiling too. Batman approached, cowl retracted, Bruce Wayne's face showing rare approval. "The dimensional breach Goku used to arrive is still partly open. If we amplify it with concentrated energy, the way Zatanna suggested, we might be able to send you both home." Hope flared in Vegeta's chest. Home, Bulma, Trunks, his universe. "How much energy?" Goku asked. "Less than a supernova now that the path is established, but still substantial. You'd need to combine your remaining power with the Justice League's help, channel it through Zatanna's spell, and hope the dimensional barriers don't collapse before you transit." "So a suicide mission," Vegeta summarized. "Or a calculated risk," Batman corrected. "Your choice." Vegeta looked at Earth, scarred by battle but standing. At the Justice League, exhausted but triumphant. At Goku, grinning like the fight had been a game. And he thought about Bulma's face when he finally came home. Trunks' relief. The chance to tell them he'd fought alongside gods to protect another world because it was right. "Let's go home," he said. They gathered at the breach point, a ripple in reality behind the remains of Times Square. Zatanna began the spell, backwards words weaving magic through dimensional barriers. The Justice League channeled their remaining power, Superman's solar energy, Wonder Woman's divine lightning, Flash's speed force, Green Lantern's willpower, everything coordinated through Cyborg's calculations. And in the center, Vegeta and Goku stood together, one final time in this universe, adding their divine Kai to the spell. The dimensional breach opened wider. Through it, Vegeta saw his universe, stars he recognized, constellations from home, Earth, his Earth. "Thank you," Superman said simply, "for protecting our world." "Don't mention it," Vegeta replied, then added grudgingly, "You're not bad warriors for non-Saiyans." "High praise from a prince," Wonder Woman observed with a smile. "If you ever need help again," Goku offered cheerfully, "just find a way to call. Dimensional beatdowns sound awesome." Batman actually smiled, small but genuine. "If we're ever desperate enough to summon help from other universes, you'll be our first call." The breach reached critical stability. Zatanna nodded. "Now, go now." They jumped. Reality compressed, twisted, inverted. Vegeta felt dimensional barriers scraping against his essence, felt the pull of two universes fighting over which would claim him. For one terrible moment, he thought he'd be trapped between dimensions forever. Then physics reasserted itself, and they crashed onto familiar soil. Capsule Corp's lawn, specifically, where Bulma was working on some invention and Trunks was training with wooden swords. Both looked up as two Saiyans materialized out of nothing. "Dad!" Trunks shouted, dropping his sword. "Vegeta?" Bulma's expression cycled through relief, joy, and anger in 3 seconds. "Where have you been? You disappeared for a week." Vegeta stood, brushed himself off, and pulled Bulma into a hug that surprised them both. "Fighting gods in another dimension. The usual." She pulled back, studying his face. "You're different. What happened?" "I learned something," he admitted quietly. "About strength, about fighting alongside others instead of alone, about choosing to protect instead of conquer." He looked at Trunks, I'm not perfect, I'll never be perfect, but I'm trying to be better than I was for you both. Bulma's expression softened. Well, you can start by never disappearing into dimensional portals again without telling me. Deal, Goku laughed, clapping Vegeta on the shoulder. That was fun, we should do it again sometime. Kakarot, Vegeta said with feeling. If I never see another dimension again, it'll be too soon. But as he stood there, surrounded by family, home again in his universe, he couldn't help thinking about the Justice League, about Superman's unwavering hope, Wonder Woman's warrior wisdom, Batman's pragmatic paranoia, the Flash's optimism. All of them choose every day to protect instead of dominate, to inspire instead of terrify. Heroes, real heroes. Maybe, Vegeta thought, he could be something like that. A warrior who protected not from duty or pride but from choice. Someone his son could look up to without caveat. Someone his wife could trust without doubt. It wouldn't be easy. Pride ran deep. Old instincts died hard. But if Superman could resist becoming a tyrant despite having godlike power, if Batman could fight without killing despite every rational argument otherwise, if an entire league could choose mercy over efficiency day after day, then maybe a Saiyan prince could do the same. Come on, Bulma said, dragging him toward the house. You're going to tell me everything, and I mean everything. It's a long story. We have time, and they did, all the time in the world in his universe with his family. The Prince of all Saiyans was home, changed, challenged, but ultimately unbroken. And in another dimension, the Justice League stood on their scarred but standing Earth, knowing they'd gained an ally across reality itself. If darkness threatened again, if Darkseid returned, if the impossible became necessary, they knew who to call. The multiverse remembered the day a Saiyan prince stood with Earth's greatest heroes against Apocalypse darkness. The battle became legend, whispered in Watchtower corridors, recorded in Batman's exhaustive files, immortalized in songs the Amazons would sing for centuries. Vegeta's fusion with Goku had proven that even Darkseid could be challenged, that tyranny had limits, that hope and power combined could reshape reality itself. In Universe 7, Vegeta trained with renewed purpose, not to surpass Kakarot, though that remained a goal, but to master the lesson the Justice League had taught him. Strength without allies was just isolation wearing a crown. He sparred with Trunks more patiently, listened to Bulma's tactical advice with less reflexive dismissal, even acknowledged in rare, unguarded moments that fighting alongside others didn't diminish his pride, it amplified it. Superman kept a special file in the Batcomputer labeled Dimensional Allies, just in case. Batman updated his contingencies, adding notes about Saiyan biology and fusion techniques. Wonder Woman commissioned an Amazon tapestry depicting the battle, Vegeta's final Kamehameha, rendered in threads of gold and blue. The Flash told the story at every superhero gathering, embellishing shamelessly until even Vegeta's pride would have been satisfied. And across the barriers between realities, a connection remained. Not physical, dimensional transit required energy beyond casual use, but real nonetheless. Two universes, forever linked by warriors who'd chosen to protect rather than conquer. The Prince of all Saiyans had landed in the DC universe. He'd fought gods and monsters, faced corruption's temptation, chosen mercy over efficiency, and proven that redemption wasn't weakness. It was the hardest battle of all. And when the universe needed him most, he'd stood not as a conqueror or destroyer, but as something harder and infinitely more powerful. A hero. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. More stories await.